Okay, there we go. We're live, everybody. Hello, everyone. So we are live from unfortunately, the phone because uh the MacBook and everything like that was not holding up the stream and whatnot. So I just wanted to see how everything was looking via the phone here. If we were to go look at it on YouTube, it's okay looking on YouTube. Let's check out how everything looks on Kick here. Channel. All right. Let's see here. Let's put it on 720. See what it looks like here. That doesn't look too bad there. It does look better here on the phone's camera versus over here on even Kick or anything like that. Let me go ahead and then now give it a look. Gander see over on Rumble here. Okay. Okay, there we go. I had to mute the tab. All right. So on Rumble wise though, we look good. From what I'm looking at over here, it's looking good. I don't know if I can use this like this. No, it's not letting me do that. Okay. I was trying to see if maybe I could incorporate the phone and the MacBook at once through the Rumble Studio. Thought maybe that might let me do that. Um, Kind of like a soft chance in hell, you know, uh, you know, long shot in hell, I should say. But what I was trying to do here was I just wanted to see if everything was looking good and if if so, if we were looking good and whatnot, and to be able to continue the stream and make sure that everybody was going to be able to hear and see everything just fine. Now I'm not able to drop the videos that I was going to react to 100% in here like this. I might be able to flip the camera around and do it that way onto the screen via that way. But uh, what I plan to do then is just for right now, ideally, we'll be trying to see if I can pause my feed here in any way. Uh, uh, so I can't do that through Safari. That's right. Um, let's get all the messages from there. So I don't mind it being like that. That's not bad, having the chat and everything like that on top of everything. Though I feel like the chat's lingering for way too long, if not like almost indefinitely. So I'm not sure there's a way to adjust the settings here. Oh, on, fucking left and right contact. Come on. Oh, it was like burning for a second there. That hurt for a second. Oh, okay. I think we're good there. So we won't do the live chat, but I think we will do the counter that we got right up here. That looks fine, but again, I don't know a way to bring the MacBook over to this way. The best I could do would be just to kind of explain what we're looking at, kind of just go over the topics that I want to go over while I am I guess I could play these videos in the background, not with the audio, but with just closed captioning and kind of express the points that are from those, um, and then link them later on in the actual Rumble, description and everything like that later on once this is uploaded, and then go to do it through the MacBook then. So there's that possibility. Now, when I just went live through the MacBook, it just wasn't going live without dropping connection instantly. So that tends to be an internet issue. Obviously, we're still having somewhat of an issue through this because we're still having some slight little hiccups in the actual feed that we're seeing. So that's another downside there that we're seeing as well. But what I really wanted to get into was a couple of different things that have happened in the news. Obviously, we've had the vigil, the burial, and everything like that for Charlie Kirk, and in that time, we've had even more crazy leftist extremist shit go on, i.e., the shooter that just recently shot up an ICE facility trying to shoot ICE agents and misses and shoots two detainees, and then in that process decides, well, I fucking suck as a sniper, so I might as well take myself out as well. So the low life piece of shit that they are took themselves out and doing the coward's way. May they rot in hell and fucking made Satan piss on their fucking soul. At the end of the day, I don't want illegal immigrants in the country, but I don't want them fucking killed. I don't want them dead. And for a retard that's on the left to be like, oh, I'm gonna go take things into my hand. I'm gonna shoot ICE agents. Oh, holy shit! I obviously don't know the first thing of fucking marksman shooting, and I have now unfortunately hit two people that I'm trying to quote unquote protect. So I must now take myself out because I'm air for the bad guy, which i.e., you were gonna be the bad guy anyways. Why the fuck did you do it that way? That was like the dumbest thing in the world. And on top of that, I don't understand why the left does not seem to get this to their head that you cannot keep calling everybody authoritarian, Nazis, and fascists, and all this other stuff like that, and expect that your side doesn't get radicalized and try to kill people. For them to still try to act like, oh, this was just people on the right that are trolling people and stuff like that. It's like, are you fucking stupid or are you kidding me? Right? Like, you got to be kidding with me. Like, you don't actually believe that, do you? And then you start to realize that, maybe some of these idiots do believe that. And then that becomes even scarier because then you're like, why do you believe that? Like, where does this come from? So it's really weird. It's really weird, and to see the stuff that they wrote on the bullets, and then you got on top of that, you have all the other crazy shit that has gone on between Charlie Kirk being assassinated until legitimately just this morning. All kinds of stuff happening. And then we have the whole UN debacle as well with President Trump. Again, the UN just doesn't seem to learn their fucking lesson. I mean, for God's sakes, they did have, Greta Thunberg in there being like, how dare you to everybody constantly for fucking, hours while everybody was like, she's so right, man. We're fucking this whole world up. It's all because of humans, man. That's the whole reason why global warming is happening. It's like, okay. Yeah, totally. It's not a thing that just happens every couple thousands of years that the planet tends to do because, it's expelling its heat and other things like that. So, and when I was a kid, man, I remember distinctively growing up and hearing people talk about global cooling and that if the planet freezed one more time, like if it went to another ice age, we'd all be fucked. That the planet would like cease to like continue to spin, which I don't understand how that correlates. I guess like the core supposedly would stop spinning, but then we just found out that the core isn't constantly in spinning. It's at sometimes just stationary. And then they're like they claim that, and then they're like, well, actually, that's not true. It's that it's moving in such a direction or path that it doesn't look like it's moving at all. But then but right above that, there was literally a whole paragraph talking about how it legitimately isn't moving. So it's such a mind fuck with what we see going on in science and stuff. But I have the Nuxor video for those that don't know Nux. Nux is probably one of the best YouTubers we got out there, VTubers I should say specifically. This man's a fucking legend. He definitely needs to be protected, and I'm not even joking. This dude is truly a fucking legend. Let's see. Here we go. All okay. So let's say this should post in both. So ideally, this is the video of videos, if you will, right? This is like the smirking gun when it comes to some of this more recent. Um, I don't want to call these ones like Islamist extremist views that have been seen here, but the way that they're trying to use Islam in the far left, it's more what I'm trying to bring up with this because I feel like there's too much on the left that are like, oh man, we need to just be open minded and just let in all of this, you know, this destructive religion into this, into our country and let it control what we're doing via either Sharia law or they want to just be like, oh, the Muslims have, gays intentions at heart. And it's like, are you sure about that? Are you fucking sure about that? Because I'm pretty sure if you know anything about Islam, that if you're gay, they will kill you. And I'm not joking. This isn't like me trying to like scare gay people into not, wanting to promote like the free Palestine, also that other stuff like that, which I think is completely fucking stupid in itself. Because again, these are the same people that would stone you or throw you from a roof if they found out you were gay. Okay, they do not want your support, and in fact, the Free Palestine movement is just funding Hamas more so. Um, so you really have to take into a lot of consideration a lot of the stuff that the locals themselves have been trying to tell the American people now for how many months now that this is the actuality of the thing, not the fairy tale that I think a lot of Americans, especially on the left, want to paint in their head and think that that's what's going on, and that secretly everyone Palestine's over there singing like "Kumbaya, Kumbaya" and all that shit like that, and it's like, nah, dog, that's not what's going on. It's not at all. But at the same time, I feel like the way that they want to paint how like Israel's trying to protect themselves as this genocide when there isn't a genocide going on, but at the same time they want to make you think that you know if anybody is against the free Palestine movement, then you're instantly a Zionist, or that you're fucking like Islamophobic and so that is like, how is that, by the way, the only religion that also has that? Have you ever heard of Christianophobia, Hindu phobia, Buddhist phobia, right? Anything like that? No, no, right? Because it doesn't fucking exist. Because these idiots are a bunch of pussies and are like, well, you see, if we say that they're Islamophobic or Islamophobic, then we can then use these fucking tools against them to silence them, and then they can't ever fucking say anything against it. It's pretty much like having a soft Sharia law. Oh, this is wonderful. This is why people like Tommy Robinson are doing the things that they're doing, and others are doing the stuff that they're trying to do in order to stop the Islam movement that's going on, especially that's trying to take over the UK. And I would argue that's trying to desperately take over America as well. And it's people like Elon Omar and there's a few others, especially Elon Omar, need to get the fuck out of this country. Go back to Somalia where you fled because you were the fucking actual, the bad guys in that one. Again, instead of the good guys. Again, look that up. That's coming out more and more recently about Elon Omar having been actually of the dictator family that had fled persecution of Somalia, not fled Somalia because of a dictator. They were the dictators. So definitely look into that one as well there, fam. So and also for today's video, for today's stream, which by the way, we haven't been like, we're not sponsored by anybody or promoted by anybody in the regards of like these cigars or anything like that that we've been doing recently. And yes, I still vape and I still work at the vape store. I'm a manager of the vape store and stuff. But for those who are wondering, like, especially those that maybe are smokers and stuff, and you want to quit smoking, you could try using cigars. They are a great way to do that. Same with pipe tobacco. You don't have to try vaping. I know there's a lot of people that are like, vaping's for pussies, or uh, all other kinds of like derogatory things that they might want to call me just because I vape. Um, One of the reasons why I vape is a lot of the reasons why I like to smoke cigars. Okay, so I don't like smoking cigarettes. And if you were to go to like the Philip Morris right now and go look up the website, look up the amount of chemicals on a pack of cigarettes, it's like over 200. Whereas in here, it's 4 chemicals: propylene glycol, vegetable glycerin, nicotine, flavoring. That's it. And this, nicotine, tobacco. That's it. All right. Maybe some pectin from the fruits and stuff like that. Other than really all that, it's just legitimately tobacco. That's it. So at the end of the day, sure, this technically has man-made chemicals. This is more natural. At the end of the day, though, both are a lot better than smoking cigarettes, which have like arsenic, fucking MAIOs in them, and all kinds of other shit like that. I mean, look at Marble Lights having how much chocolate in them just so that you can enjoy the cigarette at the end of the day. Now, I am a person who believes that you should have the freedom of choice in doing what you want. I don't think that anybody should ever tell you that especially if you're 21 or older, are told that you cannot smoke, drink, or do whatever you would like to do within a confines of reasons and morality. And I also think that even if you are religious, that it is okay to smoke. Even using cannabis, I mean, the burning bush. Some people might argue that's ayahuasca. At the end of the day, look, I think that there's a lot of stuff that churches will ban that are just eliminating just things that you can enjoy life with a little bit more. Now, I will point out that when, I'd say like, you know, when I first started smoking cigars, it was more so just the idea of like, I wanted, something that was gonna, be stronger nicotine at the time when I was like younger at the time, like probably around like 21, 22. Because back when I started smoking cigars, 18 was the legal age limit. And so I'm 33 now. And so when it was 18 at the time, it wasn't really a big thing for me to use cigars. I would smoke maybe prime times or cigarillos and stuff like that. And I don't count those as cigars, but it was like that was kind of on track of what I would later kind of get dabbled into. But then I remember distinctively one day I was coming home from a friend's house and they had given me a little one called the Caribbean Rum Runner. And I love those guys. Absolutely love those cigars. Um, But I got one of those and I was like, wow, this is actually really cool. I really like the taste of this. I like the vibe of this. And the idea of a cigar is meant to be that you are going to relax, right? That when you're doing one of these, this isn't about, pack the cigarettes. Like, there's a YouTuber that I watched. He explains this really well. He's an older guy. His name is Dwayne. And he said that, it's not about just packing the pack, pulling out a cigarette, sucking it down and getting back to work, right? This is about sitting back, relaxing, enjoying the time with family, hanging out with you guys, all kinds of stuff like that, and just letting life kind of go by slowly versus trying to grab everything by the reins or trying to be in control of everything or trying to speed up everything constantly. This is just a reminder just to take life a little bit slower sometimes and enjoy the smaller things. So, this one here we got tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be a My Father El Centurion Toro. And we got the Cigar Brothers rewards things on the back here as well. So this is the cigar. For those that couldn't tell what it was in the thumbnail. For those also wondering, no, we are not making this into a blend. You definitely don't want to waste a good quality cigar or something like that. In my opinion, when there's plenty of bongs and dab rigs and all that other shit out there. Definitely like the tubing for this. Love the way it looks. Out of the recent ones so far, the Olivia Connecticut Reserve, this one was definitely a favorite of mine so far. Definitely like to get another one of these guys. It was very light, delicious. It hit the spot when I was smoking it. I got a little bit of its nub left. I do believe in there. Oh, and haha! I thought I left my cedar at work. Remember? Oh yeah. Forgot I put it in this guy. Still got a smell of the Connecticut Reserve on it, but it's also got that nice cedar smell to it. This is the nub of the Connecticut Reserve that I have. You can see the wrapper is kind of destroyed on this guy here because I had to harshly push it out or put it out when we were done with it. But I gotta say though, this was probably one of the most fantastic cigars that I've had in years. The taste was phenomenal. The quality was superb, and honestly, hands down, one of the smoothest cigars I have had in well over 10 years. Okay. Now, the cafe, or I don't know how you pronounce this one, Macanudo Court Cafe. This one wasn't bad. Nice little small one. Pretty good one if you're just wanting something that's small and just to be able to chill and vibe with. However, though, it was one of those ones that when you smoke it, about here is when it started to actually fucking really taking on. About once I got down to there, it was like I can't hit that no more. It was burning the inside of my lip so hard. So I was like, okay, as good as it tasted, I can't keep doing that one. Now the Connecticut Reserve, I was just impressed with how light and how amazing it tasted. With how just again, this feels like nothing in the hand, even when it was a big fat one, right? This has got a little bit more weight to it, but still super, super light. Like compared to some of the cigars that I've had, some of these are just like even some of the smaller ones have some like heft to them, and these guys have had no heft to it. And I gotta say, even after putting it out the way that I did and just peeling off that outer layer, seeing how this wrap is absolutely. I mean, this is a perfect little wrap. Look at that. That's just that. That's the second layer right there underneath the main top layer, and that was the end that I cut off of it. So, and then we got ourselves our cigar cutter right here. So this guy was only about $5 at the same place where I get all my psychedelics from, everything like that, like the little motherfuckers, the Exodus, gummies, everything like that, right? So I got this guy there because I needed a new cigar cutter. And I was expecting this to be like $10, $20, stuff like that, because I know a lot of places will try to fucking rip you off on one of these. And granted, it should have only been like maybe $2 or $3, but it was $5. So I was cool with that versus 10, 10, 15, 20. So let me go ahead and close this bad boy back up here. Oh, whoops. Let me go ahead and put my little nub back in there. Perfecto.
Oh, your cat is sick, Ari.
It's not hers. It's yours.
It sounds like mine.
Fluffy's right here, dude. So it's gotta be either Gimme or it's gotta be Zeffy. Nope, it's gotta be Zeffy then. Nope.
Oh, Frodo.
Yeah, but she was supposed to. I'm sorry, Bubba. She's looking at me like, "What up, homie? My bad, dude. My bad."
I didn't even know she was awake.
So
Yeah, you heard her get sick, huh?
we're gonna try this bad boy out. No, I gotta say, I have smelled this one a little bit already, guys. Oh, it smells so good. This smells really good, chat. Oh yeah. Love the way this looks. Love the way it feels. It's got some good girth to it, good heft to it.
Oh, Ari. Ah, shit.
This is box press. They're trying to see if it would tell me the length and everything like that on it. Premium blend, H2K cut, El Centurion. It's got a really fat band on it. Now, from what I've heard on this one, the band cannot be taken off until it's heated up more properly. Unlike the Olivia that I had, the Olivia's band slid right on off. The Cafe one did not either. That was another one that did not want to slide just right on off. So this one apparently supposed to be able to just slide the orange footband off is what this is called. Okay, there we go. I got the little footband off now, chat. It's got a good taste to it. Very nice taste to it. Very well might be my new favorite. Got kind of a caramel taste to it too.
Still good.
Very, very unique. Definitely like that. I definitely like that a lot, chat. All right, so let's go ahead, light up this bad boy, and we'll get into this video here. You know, I swear the cedar just never wants to cooperate with me on this. That is very robust. All right. I like that one. Holy shit. Okay. That is definitely a stogie. Holy shit! Like I can actually feel the robustness of that one too, and how like thick it is too. Like of the smoke, the richness of the flavor. Still got that like caramel taste to it. I've noticed. It's almost got like a bit of a like an earthy note. Something there that like I can't quite like put my finger on. It's very earthy note, like maybe clove or maybe a bit of like a like almost like an allspice kind of vibe to it.
Oh, you like
Do you need help with something? You sure? Taking some of that ash off. I know some people don't like to ash their cigars until like they're like massive thick ashes. I'm not about that there, Dreams. So let's go ahead and get into the video though that I wanted to react to here, guys. Kind of lightly talking about this here. So um,
the United Nations is a fraud and needs to be immediately destroyed, not violently obliterated. Wipe it away. We don't like them. The gay, and we don't like them at all.
this one also holds the smoke better when I'm doing the puff than my the Olivia one. The Olivia one just was very light when I would do the puff. You couldn't even feel it so much that you really feel like you had to drag hard on that one. I actually got it kind of smoky. Feels like in here a little bit already. Gonna go ahead and open up my window a little bit.
Sorry, bro. I am the OG UN hater. All right, they're a corrupt, evil corporation. Which, by the way, it's a coincidence. It's 50% run by Muslim countries. 50% of the UN is Muslim countries, and they vote on women's rights. All right, bro, they're gonna vote on Israel. Really? They're gonna vote on Christian ethics. All right, well, I really appreciate it, guys. Definitely, you're in.
And what you're hearing right here, by the way, is one of the big reasons why the UN, in my opinion, has been failing for a long time. Is that you have way too many Muslim nations involved in the UN, and when you're voting on things like women's rights, really, women's rights, Muslims, really think they're really going to be for all that? I'm just saying. You know, it's something could be like, "Oh, that seems kind of racist." You can say that, but I'm not wrong. You can call me racist all you want, but I'm not wrong. And I'm not racist either, but I'm just pointing out facts. But again, apparently, you pointing out facts is apparently racist. Stats are apparently racist now these days. You know, as they say.
Your input and insight is probably not biased and very appreciated. All right. So listen, the UN has been a sham for the longest time. And by the way, when I say it's 50% Muslim countries, I'm not even including the UK, which is a Muslim country at this point.
Ooh, yeah, that's true.
Another
Let's be honest about that one.
I'm including the Muslim majority countries, not even France and the UK and Australia. All right, listen. Anyways, or Canada. I don't care. All right, guys, enough with the memes, enough with the comedy. We have to talk about the king himself. All right, so Donald Trump, king of the United States of America. I should say that it pisses off the lip
King.
guys. It works every time. Update: UN staff in New York.
That was funny. Fucking hilarious. I like that.
At UN,
Calls him king.
also sabotaged Trump's teleprompter in an attempt to embarrass him.
So yeah, so I didn't hear about all this, but apparently I guess the UN has been trying to sabotage Trump with his visit here to them, and it didn't really work. It kind of backfired for them. It seems like. And one of the reasons why I think it backfired for them, really honestly, was just because of the way they tried to present the whole fucking thing. You know what I mean, chat? So I am curious to see what you guys are all going to think about all of this here. Also, I need to make sure I pull up my kick chat here as well. Pause that. Pop out the chat. And the fucking stupid bots. Okay. Close that out. Boom. That to there. Okay. All right.
This started off as a
So let's go ahead and just jump right into his speech. I do want to get into it because the speech was actually, in my opinion, very important. So let's go ahead and get into Trump's speech here. So this is right about where it starts right here, chat. So
bias towards one specific sect of people. It's probably a good but anyway, lock into a girl. They're about to watch the UN get absolutely. You got all this shit. I don't making this speech without a starts. Damn.
okay, so we won't check out the band just yet. We're getting close to it, but not close enough. So.
You went out there expecting to have a telephone. Hello, Madam First Lady. Thank you very much.
And that was the other thing too, by the way. So I was trying to tell you this, by the way. Earlier. Remember when I was saying that it was a escalator teleprompter? The third thing, also, by the way, for everybody too, as well, not just my little sister on this one. They also fucked up the sound system as well. So legitimately, only certain people were able to actually understand it, but they had the interpreters being able to do it for them. Because when he went back to sit down with the first lady, he asked her, "How'd I do?" She said, "I didn't hear a single thing you said." So that's, in my opinion, a very big reason to start thinking about shutting down the UN when they are just literally purposely causing shit like this because they think it's either fucking funny or they think this is how they're going to stop Trump.
Not even like pause this speech anyway. Like he went there expecting a script and he just decided, fuck it, that's crazy. That is insane.
Make sure that they can be heard on the video feed here, chat.
You think the teleprompters have issues? Because they're trying to ruin him. Because the globalists that are running this United Nations bullshit gay ass courtroom of clowns and retards are doing their absolute best to destroy him because Trump doesn't want to succumb to the agenda that the rest of the European overlords did and decide to import the third world into their countries, to turn their countries into fucking shitholes. Trump
exactly.
Immigrants,
and therefore why is that a bad thing? Why is that such a bad thing to do, right? He wants to do what's right for the American people, but they're like, how dare you fucking do that? Because, we've destroyed our countries. We're destroying, the UK, we're destroying, all these other countries. Why don't you join in on this? And Trump's like, because I don't fucking want America destroyed by fucking Muslims, thank you. Like, how hard is that? Like, no, we don't want Sharia law. We don't want our women covered in burqas. And we want, women not to be treated as objects, okay, or possessions. Just a little fun fact.
They'll do whatever they can. Delegates, ambassadors, and world leaders. 6 years have passed since I last stood in this grand hall and addressed a world that was prosperous and at peace in my first term. Since that day, the guns of war have shattered the peace I forged on two continents. An era of calm and stability gave way to one of the great crises of our time. And here in the United States, 4 years of weakness, lawlessness, and radicalism under the last administration.
He's not wrong. Not wrong. And again, the fact that Biden let a lot of this go on, and hopefully everybody can hear what's going on from the video feed there. I got it as close as I can to the phone without it hopefully bleeding in too much with like feedback or anything like that. Um, it's really crazy to see the level of hysteria that I see on the left whenever it comes to Trump imposing anything like this or talking about things like this or like oh, what does he fix to the economy wise? Well, I don't know. Fucking the fact that groceries are a hell of a lot cheaper than what they were about to be under fucking Biden, which I do love in the Hall of Fame presidents. You got Biden's face as a fucking auto pen. That's classy. Like that is very classy.
Disasters. 1 year ago, our country was in deep trouble, but today, to my administration, we're the hottest in the world. And there is
He's so consistent. I love that line. I love that line from Nux. He's so consistent.
Economy, the strongest borders, the strongest military, the strongest friendships, and the strongest spirit of any nation on the face of the earth. This is indeed the golden age. Golden age of America. Love to hear it. We are rapidly reversing the.
Oh, we love to hear, Mr. President.
Inherited from the previous administration, including
the way he keeps saying Biden.
Price increases and record-setting inflation like we've never had before. Under my leadership, energy costs are down, gasoline prices are down, grocery prices are down, mortgage rates are down, and inflation has been defeated. The only thing that's up is the stock market, which just hit a record high.
How the hell can I not
record high 48 times in the last short period.
I just bought my chat.
Growth is reaching, manufacturing is booming.
From the Rumble Studio part.
Market, as I said, is doing better than it's ever done. And all of you in this room by that.
Dude, he is, and you know what? Rightly so.
Workers' wages are rising at the fastest pace in more than 60 years. That's what it's all about, isn't it? In 4 years of President Biden, we had less than $1 trillion of new investment into the United States.
This is true.
In just
so true.
Months since I took office, we have secured commitments and money already paid for $17 trillion.
And the way that the European companies or countries are coming into America to want to do business with us now is just absolutely hilarious versus how before they were like, oh, you guys, you're being ran by a fascist, da 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 da. And as soon as he started doing like, oh, hey, you know those tariffs you guys put on all of us? Yeah, we're gonna start doing the same thing to you guys. They're like, oh, by the way, we really want to work on a deal with you, Trump. Is there anything we can do for you guys? So it's like, oh yeah, kiss that ass just a little bit more, baby.
Think of it, 4 years, less than $1 trillion, 8 months, much more than $17 trillion. It almost sounds like he actually is being invested. Pressure on other nations instead of being a gigantic pocket pussy.
And it's like, what is wrong with us caring about Americans first, right? That's a big thing here. And it's like, why do we have to feel ashamed for wanting to take care of Americans first before then sending any aid, money, things like that across, the sea to other, countries, to even even other allies when we have a country that is, at that point when we were first getting it back from Biden, it was in such disrepair that it took a lot of effort to get to where we are right now. Like you said, we're one of the hottest, countries around in the world again. We're finally on top. We're finally getting back to where we once were as an American nation, and it's good to see it. But it's still a long ways away from where we really should be at. But we're getting there finally.
It's almost like that's the reality. I'm gonna get this way. Dude, YouTube's age restricting all my videos. The globalists are coming for me, man. The UN doesn't like me or something. I don't know what's happening. I'm getting all my shit age restricted. But fuck you if you think I'm gonna change. In the United States, and it's now pouring in from all parts of the world. We've implemented the largest tax cuts in American history and the largest regulation cuts in American history, making this once and again the best.
It's definitely a solid cigar, man. I gotta say, I'm impressed with how well it's stayed.
Investing in America, and it's turned out to be an awfully good investment.
Yep. 8 months now.
In my first term, I built the greatest economy in the history
of the world. But the pectin has melted off a bit there. We can actually take off the band there. So we took off the first band, the H2K count.
It's actually much
or H2K cut.
better. The numbers far
surpass. What I think that stands for?
First term, On our southern border, we have successfully repelled a colossal invasion.
Got our first ban on that bad boy.
On Trump does not recognize that this is potentially the biggest fucking thing ever taken by a president of all time. The fact that millions and millions of people were illegally pouring into our country over Biden's term, and Trump essentially shut that shit down immediately with just a change in.
Dude, yeah, we have not had nearly the amount of crazy shit going on over there.
It's the biggest.
Good to see you, Dark. Good to see you.
It's unreal that no one even talks about it. It's 4 months.
Good to have you in here, brother. Good to have you in here.
The number of illegal
Just smoking a cigar, relaxing, and reacting to the crazy stuff going on in the news.
Because if you look back just a year ago, it was millions and millions of people pouring in from all over the world, from prisons, from mental institutions, drug dealers. All over the world they came. They just poured into our country with ridiculous open border policy of the Biden administration. Our message is very simple. If you come illegally into the United States, you're going to jail.
Again, we ain't doing it like Poland, you know, so the fact that people want to say we're so harsh, yeah, you know, Poland will literally shoot you like a dog for entering in their country illegally. So I think we really needed to rethink the authoritarian country thing.
We'll load you in our trebuchet.
Patent pending, I like that.
Who knows? Who knows where you end up? I want to thank the country of El Salvador for the successful and professional job they've done in receiving and jailing so many criminals that entered our country. And it was under the previous administration that the number became record.
Dude, Biden is just getting fucked on this one here. He really is.
Judges in the UN shuts off teleprompter, hoping he leaves. Trump, none of you seem to understand. I'm not locked in here with you.
You're locked in with me. I fucking love that. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong. The fact that they shut down the teleprompter to try to get Trump to fucking shut up and leave. How fucking stupid were they to do this? Literally was just like challenge fucking accepted, bitch. Like, let's see what happens here. You know, again, this would have been fucking, you know, how's it going, Fox? Good to have you in, brother. This would have been fucking Biden. It would have been like ice cream. You know, you're like, is there a little girl for me to sniff around here? Like, that's literally would have been Biden right there. Trying to find some little girl to sniff. You know, and of course you're supposed to be all like nice and, you know, pretend like we actually don't want to make fun of him now he has, you know, cancer and all this other stuff like that. Yet all these assholes were making fun of Charlie after he was assassinated. So all I gotta say is fuck that. It's kind of karma that Biden ended up getting, you know, cancer the way he did. I'm just fucking saying, you know, karma's a bitch. And she was all like, let me fucking, you know, lay out the long dick of the law on you there, Biden. So a big reason why I don't really have too much sympathy for him right now, especially when the left was doing what they were doing with the whole Charlie Kirk stuff. So again, because I can't react to exactly the stuff I wanted to show, I did want to bring up the liberal women have reached a peak of insanity by the lovely Sydney Watson. She did a video a few hours ago today talking about all the crazy liberal women that are fucking literally taking Tylenol because, you know, the whole thing coming out that it's not good for you to do that. It may lead to autism of your children. And they're like, let me go ahead and take a bunch of Tylenol because Trump said, you know, or RFK said. And it's like, if that's literally how you're going to end up being like that, I really do think we should be arresting these mothers for purposely abusing their children like this. And now, if anybody hasn't seen the few tweets that I've posted out recently over on X, obviously, and a few other places and stuff, the big push that I've been trying to do recently, of trying to wake people up to the, you know, the fallacies that are the Islam Church, or the Church of Islam, I should say, and how it doesn't exist. Sympathy, what's that, dude? For real, especially after people cheering literally an amazing father for losing his life, you know. And again, regardless if you fucking agreed with his, you know, political opinions or not, I really, really don't think that merits somebody getting killed like he did. And yet you have people pretty much saying that it justified it. And it's like, no, no, that never justifies it. So yeah, it's definitely been a big one on that one. But I wanted to bring up this video that I've done a lot of tweets about recently, and about how my opposition against the Church of Islam, Muslims specifically. Now, again, Jay Smith here is going to talk about how he loves Muslims because some of the most fervent people in their religion. And at the end of the day, while I get where he's coming from with that, I have no love for that. If you're a Muslim and you truly have a soul and you truly are a good person, you will leave the horrendously shitty church that you were a part of, and you would then become part of any fucking thing else, knowing that literally you would literally be doing yourself a favor by leaving a sense of religion that is going to say that if you don't, then you don't always follow true with everything like that, you don't believe in everything that we do, then we can behead you, we can kill you, we can ostracize you. Women are fucking objects. You can take a girl as young as 8 years old to be your bride. I'm sorry, but these things are not okay. When the prophet himself, supposedly the prophet who didn't exist, took a woman, which says in the Quran that she played with dolls in front of him, which if you know anything about dolls in her Muslim or Islam, that is haram, meaning it's not allowed. And that she was playing with dolls in front of him, meaning that she was a little girl playing with dolls in front of the prophet, and that he took her and more or less raped her when she was 9 years old. Oh, congratulations, Muhammad, you piece of shit. So again, fuck Muslims, fuck Islam. It's a fucking bullshit religion. And I'm going to explain to you guys why here by, literally I'm going to put the speaker up as loud as I can so you guys can hear everything that this man is going to go over, because you need to understand this if you're going to go ever, debate a Muslim of anyone, or a Muslim from anywhere, I should say, because these people will try to literally lie to you because it's okay for them, because lying justifies the means in Islam. And I'm not joking. There's another video I can show you from Sahar TV where he talks to an ex-Muslim who literally says exactly that. So
I need to give you a little bit of background as to who and why I'm even talking about this tonight. And to do that, we need to go back to London, 1992, when my wife and I were sent there to engage with the radical Muslims in London. London has 1 million Muslims. In a city of 10 million, 1/10 of the population are Muslims. And they are some of the best Muslims you can get. Why? Because they come from 3 countries: India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. That's my background.
Bangladesh, how he says Bangladesh.
My father was born in India. My grandfather's grave is in India. My family have been in India since 1913, over 100 years. My sister still lives there. It is where I was born. I grew up in a school where most of the Muslims that came to that school.
If you could think of somebody who looks like the whitest Indian person you've ever seen, this guy looks like that. It's the best way I can describe Jay Smith. If you guys have not seen any of his debates or anything like that, his name is Dr. Jay Smith. And again, a doctor, PhD, a person who's been studying this type of stuff, as he says, for a very long time. And he is literally the forefront, I would say, on literally trying to help show people that Islam is in fact fake. And he is doing legitimately God's work out here, chat.
Goodness sakes, they were my roommates, they were my classmates, and almost any big discussion we had was about the Trinity, the divinity of Jesus, the authority of scriptures. I had it in the neck, and I grew up with this, and that's what prepared me for what I'm doing today, having grown up with those great Muslims. When I left in 1971,
I'm sorry, was that me?
I left high school there. I wanted nothing to do with Islam. I was fed up with all this.
Again, if the fucking MacBook and the laptop would let me stream properly, we would be doing this differently, chat. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, guys, the MacBook keeps dropping connection because of the internet, even through landline. the laptop will not stay connected properly without me resetting my internet at least 4 or 5 times before it starts to. So that's why we're going live through the phone. So please bear with the audio quality and everything like that right now. It's the best way we can go through with all this that I really wanted to present tonight, chat. So I promise we will do a better example of this tomorrow when I'm at the vape store. I didn't do it today because I was hanging out with my little sister while we were at the vape store today, while she was with me at work and doing her schoolwork and everything like that. And it was just nice to kind of hang out with my little sister like we've been doing lately. It's just nice, good brother sister time. So I've been really enjoying that. So
huge amount of discussion and really aggravation from these Muslims. But what was fascinating is it was those Muslims that really prepared me for what I'm doing. It is those Muslims that really were the ones. I could not get over the fact that they absolutely believed that Muhammad was the prophet, that the book Quran was his revelation, that it was the eternal revelation, completely preserved, never being created, and that Allah was God. Fascinating that they knew those three things, and no one really could question those three things. So when I came to America and did my undergraduate and was going through my graduate course, finishing off my divinity, my wife and I went to a seminar, just a one-day seminar in Philadelphia on Islam. And we were told three things. We were told that there were 800 million Muslims. This was 1981, when there were only 800 million Muslims. Now it's almost 2 billion. But 800 million Muslims. Now, how do you compute a number like that? Goes in this year, goes out this year. You can't really compute. It's just too big.
yeah.
And then we were told that there were only 1,500 missionaries working amongst us 800.
Give me 1 second here, guys. Clean out my ashtray so I can put out my cigar real quick so I can smoke the rest of it later on. Oh, get right back. Yeah, sister. What? I wants to see it. I can't. So yeah, that. Trying to put out my cigar here, chat. Give me 1 second, everybody. I need to get a better little cigar ashtray that'll be better for doing stuff like this. There we go. Trying to see if there was any smoke coming off that still. But looks like we're good to go on that. So got that put aside there. Be a nice little stogie for the walk tomorrow, the work, whatnot. Or even once I get to work, maybe just sit there, relax in the chair outside, and just pop on that bad boy. So again, for those that are wondering, this this video that we got going on is called Two New Findings That Muhammad Didn't Exist by Dr. J. Smith. This is from the channel called Calvary Chapel Chino Hills. This was from 2 months ago with a 1.6 million in views for this video, which honestly, I think this is a very incredible, very important video. And regardless if you are religious or not, I do think this is an important video for everybody to listen to and hear and for us to react to. Um, Especially for anybody who is of the mindset that, oh, Muslims can live in peace with the rest of us Christians, Buddhists, or, non-Muslims in general, right? That's what I thought too until I watched this.
Million, and that this 1,500 missionaries only made up 2% of all the missionaries. Those two numbers slapped me in the face. And I turned to my wife and says, what in the world are we doing wrong? Why are we sending only 2% of all our missionaries to the fastest growing religion on earth, the religion that is attacking us at our foundation? It's the religion that's attacking our Lord Jesus Christ and our scriptures like no other. And that's why I decided to get back into Islam in 1981. Because of two numbers, 1,500 and 2%. That was my Pauline call, folks.
One of the things that I am actually amazed with the amount of knowledge that Dr. J. Smith has here. He's up there in age, and yet he pulls the knowledge like this. It's insane. The numbers he can quip, the names he can quip, all the places he can quip. It just instantly, it's impressive. And one of the things that he will dabble into is that the reason for being encouraged into discovering all this stuff was that how can you have such a small amount of missionaries in a sense for the Muslims, and they are legitimately the fastest growing religion in the world, and with it being a religion that literally imposes itself more so than invites itself, how is that possible? Well, I mean, you kind of answer your question with that being the case. It imposes itself. Therefore, if you go to leave it, you are killed or you're ostracized, and nobody wants to deal with that. Like the ex-Muslim that was on Sahar TV, great guy. He did a great job of like really delving into certain the personal aspects of it. Whereas Dr. J. Smith is going to give you more of the actual um, biblical, like scholarly, aspects of it. Whereas the ex-Muslim was like, oh, this is why you see Muslims lie. This is why you see them do this. This is why they'll say that. All these things, and you start to put these little pieces together because it's a grander picture, and you start to be like, if we don't destroy Islam, then every non-Muslim will be dead. They will literally eradicate us. And if you on the left think that by any fucking means of the imagination that they legitimately are on your side, you're a fucking idiot. And they are going to laugh at you and call you an idiot, a useful idiot at that, when they decide to turn against you once they've got enough power. That's just how they are. Um, you know, the stuff that Tommy talks about and revealed in his video was just so eye opening because he expresses that, with the fact that you have a more or less, like I would say, a powder keg of a nation at that point, and they're catering to the very small minority, but then telling the regular everyday English people that they're the villains, that they're the bad guys, and then you have to start to think, but why is that the case? Oh well, then you start looking at the mayor of London, and what is the mayor but a Muslim? Okay, uh, what is his name? Ahmad Zandi is on whatever his fucking name is. That's running over in New York. Absolute socialist, absolute Muslim, hates gay people, but will pretend that he loves you because he wants your vote and needs you to get him into power. And then once he's in power, he will, would love to have, all of the radical Muslims come into play, things like that. And again, like when you look at how Tommy exposed his original set, where a guy tried to offer him money, even a friend in parliament, all this stuff like that, and he videotaped the guy. He ended up bringing all this to light, and it was like, well, obviously, motherfucker, some things aren't for sale. And that's incredible, okay? Because so many people would have taken that, instantly. Oh, a friend in parliament, all the money you could ever want. And you're never going to have to more or less want or need anything in your life ever again. You just got to fall in line and tick this little box right here. That in itself not only is dangerous, but it's like, okay, wait a minute, though. It's like, is this, like, you know, uh, oh, I had the word, it escaped me right there on the tip of my tongue. Damn it. Oh, damn it. It was like, it's right there too still. I lost it. I lost the word I was looking for too right there. Shit. To summarize everything that I'm trying to say here is that with the stuff that you're going to hear from this video, since we can't show it on here like this because I'm using the iPhone instead of being able to use the MacBook. Again, fuck you, Spectrum, with your internet. The main takeaway is that if you could try to disprove even one or the three principles that this footstool is on, the place, the man, and the book, then if any one of these three are not true, then the rest of it's not true, and it all falls on its face. One of the things that I find absolutely hysterical is that they will portray and claim that uh, what you call it, that 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 Islam is a prophetic religion, and everything like that. And then when you look at how he explains this, right, the times and when it has to be established in order for it to be true, right, or even have some semblance of truth. One of the biggest things is, when does the book get written? Does Muhammad exist? Does Mecca even exist? Because if Mecca doesn't exist, or if Muhammad at that point that's in the Quran doesn't come from Mecca, well then none of those things are true, because literally they tell you that Muhammad came from Mecca, and then he lived the rest of his years in Medina or whatever it is, um, and then his sons carried on the line and stuff, and it's like, oh, okay. Little problem though is that we can actually look at who was kings of where, why, and how. And so it starts to become kind of like abundantly clear that they are they are not only just a blight, like Islam itself is a blight on the world because of what it's teaching, the raping of innocents, the objectifying of women, the toxic, like when I never use this word, but when they talk about toxic masculinity, okay, Muhammad is toxic, okay, and he's a man. So, but he's not real, but like literally, my first thought is obviously, not being a real person. Then of course I get asked, like, well, then who did these stories get written about? And it's like, well, obviously it's fairly obvious. These are the stories of priests that want to do things to these people, like to the children, the non-Muslims, where they create them as sex slaves and do all kinds of horrendous things to them. Again, there's just so much to it. They're just like, dude, there's no way that this is a morally just religion. And then of course you have people like the Tates who are like, I'm going to join Muslim because it's more manly because Jesus is a pussy, blah blah blah. It's like, if you think Jesus is a pussy, you're a fucking idiot. That's all I gotta say.
And ever since, that's the last 44 years now, I have been working in Islam. 44 years of engaging with Muslims. The most beautiful people on earth, my favorite people.
I don't think so.
Because they absolutely believe in everything
So
that they say, unlike so many Christians. And they're willing to die for what they believe. Unfortunately, they're willing to take you with them. Nonetheless, it's not that they're doing it because they love it, it's because of that book, the Quran. This book right here. This is the one that does all the damage. But tonight, I'm not going to talk about this book. I did that a year and a half ago. We're not going to talk so much about this book. I'm going to talk about the man behind this book, the man that received this book. the man that supposedly from 610 to 632, that 22-year period, that he received these two halves. You just take the Quran in half. Look, this is really damaged. Can you tell the Muslims have stolen from me 5 times and the police have always gotten it back, and it is about ready to fall to pieces. But this is the book I've been using for year upon year. They're on the ladder. It's
my big thing too is like when he says that, my first thought is, why the hell are Muslims stealing your Quran? Wouldn't that technically be a haram thing to do to somebody, is to steal their Quran? Like, there's so many fucking things. Like, oh, by the way, yeah, it's music is not supposed to be allowed in Islam. So not only does he bring up with like another interview he does where he talks about that, and he talks about it with a guy about David in the Psalms, which are songs. But there was quite literally a thing not that long ago that Hassan was bringing up about like the whole Houthi terrorists and a bunch of the other terrorist groups that were out there in the Middle East, and they're doing these fucking like music videos and stuff like that. It's like, wait, but isn't that haram? Isn't that not technically not allowed? And isn't that technically like a bad thing? So why the fuck are they doing music? Because they don't believe in music, and you can tell because they are not musically inclined. So
Speaker's Corner.
Just saying.
For 25 years, I used this book. And when you look at this book, you can't even tell the printing on the outside, but it goes this direction. So it goes Arabic, so it goes from the right to left. So that would be Medina, and this would be Mecca. Medina means that's the part when Muhammad was living in Medina afterwards, and this is when he lived in Mecca from 610 to 622. This is what he received first. So this is the first part of the Quran, though it's the second half that's written. Isn't that odd? Turn upside down, you get
no shit.
Sequence. Nonetheless, let's go back to that sequence. And this is the part that really there's not too much in this part that we would have problems with. Oh, there's lots of stories here that make no sense.
Oh yeah,
this half that has caused all the problems. This is where the violence is.
Yep.
This is where the misogyny is against women. Chapter 4, chapter 2. This is a problem that we're all confronting. And I did that for 30, 40 years. I confronted this part.
Uses apologetics.
I found the best place to do that was a place called Speaker's Corner. So I used to go down to Speaker's Corner. If you ever go to London, go to Speaker's Corner. It only exists on Sundays. And it's the place you need to go to because that's where you engage with Muslims face to face. It's the greatest laboratory in the world because you can say anything you want. I kid you not. It's the bastion of freedom of speech. It's been around for 200 years. That's where they used to execute all the prisoners.
Maybe not anymore. You probably get arrested if you say anything against Islam now.
Get entertained. They would go and watch the executions on Sunday. And before the prisoners were executed, they were given their last defense, and they would get up on these little soapboxes, stand up on those soapboxes, and they would try to defend what they had done. Of course, it never worked. They still got executed, but the soapboxes remained. So when the executions were finished, the crowds were there, thousands of people, and people got up on those soapboxes and started preaching, or they started teaching, or they started yelling, or they started discussing and debating, and so it became Speaker's Corner.
I do love that little history there, which I never even knew about that, and that's where the whole like term "get off your soapbox" comes from. All that stuff, and I again, when you learn, when you're also like studying something like this too, at the same time, you find a little piece of history or things like that you maybe didn't know about beforehand. It's super fun to have little moments like that. You're like, oh wait, I didn't even know about that. That's really cool. Now I know where that comes from more so.
Boxes anymore, and that's where that term "get off your soapbox" it comes from. Speaker's Corner. Now we use these little kitchen ladders that let you all have in your kitchen, these little A-frame ladders with 2 steps, just so your head's above the audience, so that you can be heard. That's why I feel very comfortable right now, because I'm above you, looking down on you. The problem is, the higher I go, the farther I fall.
Amen to that, brother.
So Speaker's Corner was very violent back in the 1990s. They had not yet become the religion of peace. That only happened after 9/11.
Yeah, the religion of peace after 9/11. Are you fucking kidding me?
When they ran out of ideas, they used their fists. And it was not a pleasant place to be. But I would go down there every Sunday, and always I would try to engage with them.
And electronics with that shit.
We did what we call blitzsong by the seat of our pants, because there was nothing there to help us. There was no book written on how to engage face to face with Muslims and how to debate them and how to discuss them. Everything was attacking. When I got down there, they all had Bibles in their hands. Yes, Bibles, not Qurans. None of them had Qurans. They always had Bibles with little post-it notes all the way through. And all of these post-it notes were about the historical anachronisms of our Bible, the internal contradictions. Did you know that we have all kinds of scientific errors in the Bible? Have you heard about this? I hadn't heard about this. I had 2 master's degrees, one in divinity and the other one in Islamic here at Fuller Seminary, and no one had taught me this. I hope Jack's teaching you all this. No, he's teaching you how to answer those kind of attacks. See, they were confronting my Bible, all these confrontations. And I remember the first Sunday I was down there, I was overwhelmed. I had no idea that I was going to get this kind of confrontation. And I wanted to get out of there. And I went home and I was bruised and battered, not physically, my ego was bruised, everything, because I thought I knew everything. And these guys ran circles around me. My wife saw how disgruntled I was, and so she kicked me out the door the next Sunday and made me go back down again. What a wife. She met her, you see why.
I love that.
She says, get back on the horse again. If you're going to fall off the horse, just get back up and learn. Take a notebook with you and just learn and hear what their questions are and then find answers. Now, there was no internet back then in 1992. There was no Google to ask your questions. You had to find out by going to the library or calling up somebody or trying to remember what you learned in seminary. I had nothing to help me. And I noticed that all the questions were coming one way, this way. They're always attacking my Lord. Always 2 subjects. Jesus and the Bible. Jesus in the Bible. Well, what 2 subjects do you want to talk about but those 2, right? What great subjects. And these were the Muslims that were asking me, see if you see an atheist or a humanist or anybody else want to talk to you about those 2 subjects. Only Muslims want to talk about those 2 subjects. And they should be our favorite subjects. Now, to defend against that, that's called apologetics. That's defense. And I had to learn my apologetics by the seat of my pants. It was difficult. I was hard. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. And then I went to and I did a course at the University of London by this man here, Dr. Gerald Hawting. He had a course there at School of Oriental and African Studies on the origins of Islam. Well, I said, I thought I knew everything. This would be a fun course to do. Let's see what he's talking about. And there was about 50 students in the class. And the very first day, he started saying, do you know, we can't find any reference to this man named Muhammad in the 7th century? I said, what?
And that's going to be a key. It has to come from the 7th century. Can't be 8th, 9th, can't be anything past that. It has to come from the 7th century. Now, one of the problems is, though, is at that time, nobody was called a Muslim at that point. They were called Ishmaelites.
Not one word about this man named Muhammad in the 7th century. He said the earliest we can find about his biography is not till a man named Ibn Hisham. There it is right there, Ibn Hisham. I just showed it to you, Ibn Hisham right there. This is the first guy that ever wrote down his biography, and he died in 833.
Well, that's a ways away.
Muhammad died in 632. Do you see a problem, folks? There it is right there.
Right.
833 when this guy finally writes it down. That's a 200-year gap.
Well, there's even more of a gap.
What happened? What happened in the intervening 200 years? He says, we can't find any mosque facing Mecca at all in the 7th century. I said, I've never been told this. Why didn't I learn that in seminary? Why didn't I learn that at Fuller? Why didn't I learn that from the Muslims who I was engaging with all these years? And he said, take a look at the Dome of the Rock. Probably the most famous building that's been built by a Muslim in the last 1,400 years. The most beautiful building is right there in Jerusalem. Notice it has no Qibla, direction of prayer. That's true. It has no Qibla. It should be facing Mecca, right? Every mosque or every religious building should be facing Mecca. This has no Qibla. I said, well, how come I've not heard this? And as he was putting out these curious little tidbits, half the class were made up of Muslim students. And they started getting up, going to the door, slamming the door, turning towards Dr. Hawting and saying not very pleasant things to him, and they never came back. Within 2 weeks, we lost all of our Muslims. 2 weeks. 25 Muslims had left. Now, if you're a professor on a university, you lose half your class. What are you going to do for your career? You cannot lose your students. And so he started toning down, and stop coming to conclusion and stop asking these questions. Well, I love these questions. And I saw the reaction of the students. I said, wait a minute. If the Dome of the Rock has no Qibla, then what does that mean, Dr. Hawting? And he wouldn't answer. He didn't want to answer because he didn't want to lose any more students. So I started taking this down to Speaker's Corner. And I started putting it up there. And I got beat up. I mean, physically beat up. They knocked me out. I got one time there were 60 Muslims around me, kicking me. I went unconscious. I had no idea what happened. When the police finally pulled me out, they said that a black man came and laid on top of me, took the blows for me. I said, where is he? He had disappeared. I call him Barry, my black angel. I'm a black angel. Barry, he saved me my life twice now at Speaker's Corner in the 25 years I've been there. But I suddenly realized this material is potent. This is heavy material. If this is the only reactions Muslims have is to beat you up or to walk out the door and slam the door and yell at you as you're walking out, if that is the only reaction they have, we got to learn this material. We got to know this material. That was in 1995. Some of these students came to me and they said, we can't answer this, but there's a man who can. His name is Dr. Jamal Badawi. And they said, we want you to debate him. There it is, Dr. Jamal Badawi and myself. He is the world's leading authority on the Quran. He had done 300 videotapes. You know, these old boxes, these old VHSs. For those who have gray hair, remember the VHS boxes that we had to use? And he had done 300 of these videos just on the Quran. They said he's coming back from Malaysia. He's going to stop in London on his way back to Halifax in Canada. Would you be willing to debate it? Well, I hadn't done a debate before. We don't get trained up on how to do debates in seminary, not in homiletics class. We're trained just to say, make sure that you take a subject, only keep it to 20 minutes, say 3 things about that subject, make sure you support it in scripture, and then always have a good conclusion at the end. And then as you walk out the door, people shake your hand and say, what a great sermon you've done. Nothing about debating, nothing about getting confronted or people supporting and people yelling at you and calling you all kinds of names, giving you death threats. That we weren't taught in homiletics. So I said, okay, let me try it out. And so I went up to see a woman her name was Dr. Patricia Corona. Dr. Patricia Corona is the leading authority on Mecca. She is from Denmark. She reads and writes 15 archaic languages. How many of you can read and write 15 archaic languages? Show of hands. None. She's unique in the world. And these are languages that no one uses anymore. Nabatean Aramaic, Syro-Aramaic, Akkadian. Amazing woman. She's a linguist. She studied there at the same school, School of Oriental and African Studies, got her doctorate there and became head of department at Oxford University when I got to know her. And when I started my doctoral thesis, she was my supervisor. And she was the one that actually wrote 2 books, one called Hagerism and the other called Meccan Trade.
As I was watching that, I noticed I kept fucking not really passing out, but my eyes are definitely getting heavy and zoning out from fucking staring at this. So I apologize for that. For those that are like, "Oh, Manny's passed," like, no, my eyes are fucking definitely just getting kind of heavy from having to be at work all day, and I've been up since probably close like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. And so I am definitely towards the end of the gas tank of the empty gas there. So I'm trying to push through this. I really want to get this beginning part of this done as much as part, so then I can kind of skim through this a little bit more for you guys. And then we go up to the Tommy Robinson video, because I really do want the basis for this whole thing to be explained, because what he's explaining in general is really, really important in my opinion. And in fact, actually here, let's do it this way too. This is the video that we are reacting to. Okay. So for anybody who wants to jump in, appreciate you, by the way, there, Jackie, for all that. Thank you very much. They're gorgeous. There is the link to the video there as well for you lovely people, because again, there is a lot to cover in this video and more. So, oh, okay. Kind of pop my neck there. But this way too, if anybody wants to actually watch along at 6:30, can.
She shut down Mecca. And all she did was look for source material from the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, up until the 7th and 8th century, only using evidence from those centuries, trying to find this city called Mecca. Could not find any reference to the city called Mecca at all. So I said, well, I'm going to use her. I went up to her, and of course, she knew me, and we went into. By this time, she had a death threat from Oxford University for writing Mech and Trade in 1997, and so she transferred up to Cambridge University, was head of department at that time, and I sat in her office for one afternoon for about 3 hours as we put together this debate. She said, "Do this. Here's a better way to say it. Here, why don't you use it?" I finally turned to her, and I said, "Dr. Kroner, why aren't you doing this debate? This is your material.
This is an important part.
You have the languages. You're the one that's done the research. Me, what do I know? I'm just going to mimic you and copy you." And she turned to me. She started laughing. She said, "Jay, let me tell you something. I have a chair to protect. I have an institution to represent. I could never do this debate. I don't have the freedom to do this debate as an academic. But you have no chair to protect. And the only person you represent, his name is Jesus Christ." What an answer. Here's an atheist telling me that we're the only ones that can do this debate. We have a freedom they don't have.
Yep.
As Christians, we have a freedom because of Jesus Christ that they do not have. So I said, "Okay, let's go." I did this debate. Took us 2 hours. At the end of the debate, I gave 10 historical challenges, all of them her challenges. He did not have an answer for any of them. And he turns to me at the end and he says, "You know, Mr. Smith, all you've done is shown us everything you brought is based on silence. There's just nothing there." Granted, there's nothing there. Everything you've done is based on silence. And the absence of evidence does not prove the evidence of absence. And he hung me. The absence of evidence does not prove the evidence of absence.
He has a point.
I had nowhere to go. He was right. I didn't have any evidence. He didn't have any evidence. So we're just silence. There was no reference to this man, Muhammad. We can't find any reference to the city called Mecca. We can't find any manuscript for any book called the Quran. None of this we can find in the 7th century. But that's just silence. Where's the evidence?
Yeah, now they have the evidence
for something that never existed. Do you see the problem, folks? That was 1995. This is 2025, 30 years later. And everything I'm going to introduce tonight is based on evidence. We finally have the evidence. But here's what's fascinating. Everything's turned on its head. Because if we have the evidence, then what do they have? Absolutely nothing. Now suddenly, everything the Muslims are going to present is based on silence. They have no evidence for their man, Muhammad. Okay? Now, no one has dared to debate me on this until this year. And a man named Rabin Ibrahim. But before I do that, let me just go ahead with something else I want to bring up. Because this was causing a huge wave and a lot of problems there at Speaker's Corner, a lot of the Christians were getting quite upset, especially the Anglican Church. And I was not Anglican, and I was an American there in Britain. What is this American doing causing all this problems there in Britain? And so Colin Chapman, you can see him over on the right. He was in charge and responsible for all the Islamic work for the Archbishop of Canterbury. And so he came to me and said, "You've got to stop what you're doing. Do not do this." He says, we're going to put together a debate.
Oh, it's like Prince Harry.
It's going to be an debate. It's going to be between you and Dr. David Marshall, who you see a picture there with the glasses. Dr. David Marshall has a doctorate from Oxford University on the Quran, so he's an academic himself. And we're going to bring in scholars. All of them are Christians.
Yeah, academic. All you said is
it's between you and Dr. Marshall.
See a fake book. It's not really that much.
Basically, two subjects. Should we use historical criticism and should we use polemics in our engagement with Muslims? Now, you know where I stood on both those issues. I said yes to both those issues. He said no to both those issues. We should not use historical criticism and we should not use polemics. Polemics? What do I mean by polemics? Anybody here not know what polemics is? Oh boy, okay. All right. How do I define polemics? Well, I told you what apologetics is, right? Just defending the faith. Defending means making sure that whenever anybody confronts Jesus or our Bible, we answer them. That's called apologetics. It's much like your football team. You have a football team here. I'm not going to ask you which one is the favorite because you'll start fighting amongst each other. So let's just say whatever is your favorite football team, don't you have two teams within every football team? One called defense and the other called offense?
Yep.
And don't they have two different skills? The defense has to make sure that the others don't score against them and score the touchdown. They're big guys. They're really muscular. And boy, are they hard because they create walls to stop the others from scoring, right? The offense, however, has a totally different object. They have to push against the other, but they can run and they can toss, and they're a lot more exciting. And they are the ones that actually win the game, right? They are the ones whose names you hear. They're the ones who have the highest salary. And see, in Christianity, defense would be apologetics, offense would be polemics. It's as simple as that. So if you're defending the faith, you better know everything you can about the Bible and Jesus. Those are the two things you need to know.
Yes.
If you're going on the offense, especially against Islam, you better know the Quran. You better know Muhammad.
Yeah, you gotta know the.
But how many of you have studied the Quran or studied Muhammad?
A couple people did.
We don't teach that here. There is no school in the world that teaches Islamic apologetics or polemics except ours. MAPI, Master of Arts in Apologetics and Polemics in Islam.
Butthead.
And guess at what institution that is being taught? Veritas International University. That's your university, folks. It's the Calvary Chapel Seminary. Did you not know that? Veritas International University is your seminary in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The only place on earth where you can learn Islamic apologetics and polemics, and I direct it, and I have 5 of us. All of us have doctorates. Every one of us have had either 20 years or more experience engaging with Muslims, both apologetically and polemically. Now do you know what apologetics and polemics is? Offense is defense, polemics is offense. It's as simple as that. 2 different sets of skills. And in many discussions, you have to use both simultaneously. Isn't that interesting? So, talking about it, I wasn't sure that they would ever understand what I was talking about. So I just said, just look at the screen. Follow the screen. For those of you here, remember that? A lot of you who were here, you probably didn't know who I was or what I was going to talk about. And when you left, you said, what in the world did he just say? That, as John is right, 2.6 million people have watched that all over the world. On my site, over 500,000 have watched that. So it's over 3 million people have watched that. It's gone all over the world. And that's why I had to come back and unpack it for 4 hours to slow it down. Now, since then, since 2023, no one's really taken me on. They can't, because how can you take me on? In order to take me on, you have to have evidence from the 7th century.
Yep.
As you can see tonight, there just is no evidence that supports that man, that book, or that place. Until April of this year. And then a man named Raymond Ibrahim, who's a Christian, put up these 2 videos in April of this year. Raymond Ibrahim. How many of you know who Raymond Ibrahim is? Okay, 1. Good man.
2 people.
Fine Christian debater. And he's the only one that's dared to do this. And I thank God that he did this, because he put up 2 videos, one on April 9th and the other one on April 11th, basically saying that. And he's attacking me. He says, I don't think Jay knows what he's talking about. He said, this idea that Muhammad didn't exist is not only laughable, it is probably at all to use. It's the weakest polemic we could ever use. The weakest polemic you can use. Isn't that interesting? So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to shut him down. I'm going to take the 10 accusations, and he gave 10 accusations. If you're watching, Raymond Ibrahim, thank you for doing this, because finally I have an academic who's actually taking me on these subjects. And you gave 10 good questions, and these are the same questions you're going to hit if you go out in the world and if you talk to Muslims. And the number one first thing is Muhammad is one of the most historically supported people in history. So you cannot say he didn't exist, because there's so much historical support for him. Number 2, in fact, Muhammad has more historical support for him than Jesus has. Ooh, I love that. Number 3, if Muhammad did not exist, how can you explain the Sunni-Shiite divide? The Sunnis who are confronting the Shiites from Iran and Iraq. Look what's going on in the world right now. Look at all the problems. It's all between Sunnis and Shiites. How can you explain that if Muhammad didn't exist? Number 4, there are no incontrovertible proofs of Muhammad's non-existence. Ooh, that's a real whammy. I can see someone laughing already, because you can see it's a contradicting term. Since the traditions, that's the Islamic traditions about Muhammad, are so embarrassing, why would they write them? He's such an embarrassment, Mr. Smith. Number 6, Mecca. You can't use Mecca against Muhammad. It's not an argument you can use against Muhammad. Number 7, No one can prove or disprove historical facts. Ooh, boy, that's a whammy. And it comes down to a matter of faith. Doesn't matter what you find, Muslims will always believe it. Number 9, the claims against Muhammad's existence are merely an academic and subjective exercise. That's all it is. Just because you don't like Muslims, is what he said. Boy, wonder where he got that from. And then number 10, the best polemic is not the historical polemic. The best polemic is just to show how irrelevant Muhammad is.
I know.
Confront his character. Confront his morality. That's the best polemic. That's what we call the internal polemic. So tonight, what I'm going to do, let's go through each one of these 10 to see if Ibrahim or Raymond, actually I should call him Raymond. I'm going to call him Raymond from here on out because I have 2 good friends named Ibrahim. One is Ayman Ibrahim and the other one is Raymond Ibrahim. I don't know Raymond Ibrahim. I've never met him. I'm sure he's a great guy. But I know Ayman Ibrahim, and Ayman Ibrahim actually is head of SCS on the Islamic branch there. He's in charge of the Islamic work, and he absolutely stands with me on this position. So rather than call him Ibrahim, we just confused which Ibrahim I'm talking. Let's just call Raymond and Ayman, okay? We'll stick with Raymond from here on out. So here we go. This is what the Muslims claim. This is what the Islamic traditions claim. This is what the standard Islamic narrative said. Isn't that great? Standard Islamic narrative, SIN. This is what SIN tells us. Muslims sin
in their chat.
They say this: for the past 1400 years, Muhammad was the last and greatest prophet. He modeled Islam as the paradigm for the world. He received the Quran as his final revelation for the world. Therefore, the Quran, his revelation, was sent down only to him between 610 and 632. It is the greatest, the only perfectly preserved revelation, and also the final revelation. It corrects the previously corrupted revelation, in other words, our revelation. And therefore, Mecca was the city Muhammad was born in and lived in for the first 52 years of his life. Thus, Islam is completely dependent on 3 things. Now, this you've seen before. For those of you who are here before, these are the 3 things. One book called the Quran, one man named Muhammad, and one place called Mecca.
That's why I said
Since these 3 areas are foundational to Islam, we should investigate them at the time they all existed. That means in the early 7th century, and in the place they existed, that means the central western part of Arabia, known as.
So again, the whole point of all of this too, that I'm trying to point out to you guys, like I said through this, is that obviously that Islam is fake. It's not real. It's based off of a lie. And then when you have something like that based off of a lie, then how do you try to argue people who feverishly believe this stuff and or fervently believe it because, you know, one, it's their culture, two, it's like all they've ever known. And another big thing too is that they believe that kind of like the whole Ishmael, just because they didn't have a prophetic line, that they needed to create their own, and that in their eyes that it's okay for them to do so because theirs is better than everybody else's in their opinion, which is again not true.
Is the Hijaz, where Mecca and Medina are located. So notice, these 3 things are what holds up Islam. It's like 3 legs of a stool. You have the Quran, you have Muhammad, and you have Mecca as the 3 legs. If you start to attack one of those legs and it finally collapses, the other 2 collapse as well. All 3 are needed. You can't have one without the other. One without the other 2. Are you following that?
Yeah, Papa's boy.
With that in mind, let's now look at Raymond's 10 suppositions and assess them one by one. Supposition number 1. Muhammad is one of the most historically supported people in history.
No,
How many people, just show of hands, believe that? Wow, not one of you. I've already got you converted. We can go on to supposition number 2 then. No, we need to stop. We need to go with supposition 1 so you know how to answer this, okay? Now, to understand what he's talking about, we need to look at what they're saying. This is what he says. This is what the Muslims will say. They would believe that if you look at that map there, that Muhammad Empire included that brown area. So that's that area right there, or we're on this side right there. I got to do this to both sides, okay? That brown area where Mecca and Medina. Look where Mecca and Medina are. They're right in the central western part of that brown area. So when he died in 632, that's as large as
it's to the water.
Died. Then you have
when you look at the other maps,
the next 4 caliphs, what they call the rightly guided caliphs, that come to power, and they expand the borders out. And so it includes all the orange area from Tripoli all the way to India, and from Turkey all the way down to Yemen over on this side, from Tripoli to India, and from Turkey all the way down to the Hadramaut, or what is today Yemen and Oman. That's a pretty big area. So it is by far, by 661, it is the second largest superpower of its day by that time. And then when the Umayyads come to power in 661, starting with Muawiyah, he and others after him up until 749, for the next roughly 100 years, they expanded out to the purple area. So it includes Spain all the way to India, and then from the Yemen all the way to Turkey. Over here, there's Spain, and there's India, and there's Turkey, and there is Yemen. So all that area comes under their jurisdiction. That's their story. And there's been no reason not to confront it or dissuade you from it, because it's a pretty good story. I mean, that's all we've been told, right? And you've always believed that there was a man named Muhammad, and there were four caliphs that followed after him: Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali. Well, I'm going to show you there's a problem with that. Let's look and see where we get Islam's emergence. Let's put it on a timeline so you can see what's going on. So Muhammad, according to what the Islamic narrative, the standard Islamic narrative, Sin tells us, is that Muhammad was born in 570. He started receiving his revelations in a place called Mecca in 610. And then in 621, he suddenly is woken up in the middle of the night and told to get on the back of a winged horse called the Burak, who flies him up from Mecca up to Jerusalem. He goes up to the seven heavens and meets Allah, who tells him to pray 50 times a day. Yep. He comes down to the fifth heaven, meets Moses, says, that's way too many. So he bounces back and forth between the fifth and the seventh heaven, getting it down from 50 to 45 to 35 to 15 to 10, down to 5 prayers. Once he gets it to 5 prayers, Moses, okay, that's enough. So he shuts back down to Jerusalem, gets on back of the winged horse and flies back to Mecca. That happens in 621. It's known as the Mi'raj. You've all heard this before. This is nothing new. And then in 622, he then moves from Mecca up to Medina and takes over and that's where the caliphate starts in 622. He then comes back to Mecca and takes over Mecca. So now he controls both Mecca and Medina in 630, and he controls the holy places where the Kaaba is. And then he dies in 632, poisoned by one of his wives. So that's his life. That's the timeline to show you what Muhammad's life is like. And then Abu Bakr comes. He only lasts 2 years. He then dies peacefully. That he is followed by Umar, who only lasts 10 years. He is killed. So when he is killed, Uthman takes over. He only lasts 12 years. He is killed. But while he is in power, the Quran is put together. When he is killed, Ali takes over, the adopted son of Muhammad, and he only lasts 5 years before he is killed at the Battle of Siffin by Muawiyah. So what am I putting that up there? What we're saying, according to what standard Islamic narrative tells us and what Raymond Ibrahim tells us, that Islam was fully formed by 661, right? Mid 7th century. We're talking about the 7th century still, 1400 years ago. Now, here's the problem. How do we know everything I've just told you? And I've not told you much. I've just told you bare bones, because we have to be careful of time. That's what they tell us. Where did that story come from? That's what you want to know. Well, the story comes from the Islamic traditions, the standard Islamic narrative. This is what they tell us. And when you go to the standard Islamic narrative, they tell us that Muhammad dies in 632. And the person that writes his biography down is this guy, Ibn Ishaq. Ibn Ishaq. The only problem is, look when he died. Whenever you see a D, that means his death date. I'm putting their death dates because they can't write anything after they die.
765. Right? So
last possible time they could have written something down. 765. Do you see a problem with that, folks?
32, so 765.
Did Ibn Ishaq know Muhammad?
What's up?
Did he ever see Muhammad?
Like 100 and
like
20 or something like that.
Know his biography.
Years later or something like that.
Do you have anything written by Ibn Ishaq? No. So I held this up. Where does this come from? That's not Ibn Ishaq. His name is Ibn Hisham. This guy is the guy that wrote it down. This is the one that took what Ibn Ishaq said, didn't like a lot of it, so he threw it out and only retained what he liked. And so that's what we have today. So these two books, these 2 volumes, come from a man named Ibn Hisham. Look when he died, 833.
Even further from when,
50 years later.
Supposedly,
and then Muhammad named Al-Wakili, who wrote down the battles of Muhammad. So the battles that actually give us the story of Muhammad's life.
The battles of the existence of a fake douchebag.
Now that's the first genre. The second genre are known as the hadith, the sayings of Muhammad. And they're written down by these guys here. Al-Bukhari is the most important. He is the most prolific. He is the one that was given 600,000 of these stories, and he whittled them down all the way down to 7,439. So he throws out 98% and only retains 2%. And he does that before he dies in 870. Then we have Sahih Muslim, who dies in 875, At-Tirmidhi, 884. Look at the dates they die. 887, 899 for Dawood, Nisa, 915. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. Did any of them know Muhammad? Did they ever hear him say anything? Yet they write down what he said. They all lived 240 and later years after Muhammad. That's not the only genre. We have two more genres, the tafsir and the tahriq. That's the commentaries that help you to understand the Quran. You can't make sense of this. 25% of this, even the Muslim scholars don't understand. And of those of you who have read the Quran, how much of it can you understand? It goes all over the place, doesn't it? Urta purta, as we say in India. It jumps all over the place. Stories don't begin. Stories don't end. There's no transitional phrases to help you from story to story. Thank God our Bible's not like that, but the Quran is. So you need commentaries to explain it. And that's why the commentaries have to be written. But look who's the first man to write it down. His name is Al-Tabari, 923. That's over 300 years. That's almost 300 years after Muhammad. So everything we know about who this man was, what he did, and what he said comes from 200 to 300 years later. How many of you are happy with that?
Nobody.
You're not happy with it?
No, fuck no. That doesn't make any fucking sense.
You're a good man. I like you. I know why you're happy with it, because that makes our job a lot easier, doesn't it? See, he's being smart. But let me ask you, sir, you're going to be Abdul right now, all right? Abdul, you're happy, you're a Muslim, you love that. What about Jesus Christ? Don't we also have a hadith of Jesus, the sayings of Jesus? Don't we also have a siddha of Jesus, the biography of Jesus? Yes, we do, don't we? For those of you who are Christian, not you, Abdul, you're a Muslim, okay? Stay a Muslim guy now. So, as a Muslim, you don't have anything for 200 to 300 years, but we have the siddha of Jesus, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, right? Who wrote down what Jesus did. The hadith of Jesus, what he said, that's written in red letters in some of your Bibles. Anytime Jesus spoke, that's the hadith of Jesus. So we have the same genre, right? The tafsir of the what Jesus said and did would be the commentaries of Paul's letters. He would take what Jesus said and apply it to Ephesus and to Philippi and to Corinth, right? So there's the tafsir. So we have the same genre in our New Testament, and then the tahriq, which would be the histories of mankind.
The way he can pronounce all these too is just amazing.
The history of the early church. So we have the same four genre that you see up on the screen there. But when were they written? We're going to get to that. Hold on to that, because that's going to answer one of my questions. So you stay right there, Abdul. I'm going to keep talking to you. I like that. When a guy agrees with me, it's so nice, funny to have someone that agrees with me. I'm going to put up Abdul Malik's name there because he is the one that actually introduces the name Muhammad. Did I say Muhammad? Ooh, boy, slap my mouth. No, he doesn't. He doesn't introduce the name Muhammad. You're going to see why in about 10 minutes. Nonetheless, he's the first one to get up that title. And it's not Muhammad, as you're going to find out. But it's these people here, the Abbasids that I've just put up there, they are the ones that actually make him into the Muhammad that we know today. And I'm emphasizing Muhammad for a reason. I'm overemphasizing it for a reason. You'll see why. So, conclusion? Muhammad was revealed 84 years after the Abbasids created him, 141 years after he was first introduced, yet 200.
So again, think about that, chat. This is the big part of the portion of this that I wanted everybody to really get into their heads the most. That when you think about with the Bible, I can't remember exactly how many years it is right after Jesus' death that we have writings, because obviously papyrus does not last forever. It's really hard to find papyrus that are from literally around his time like that, and that are in perfect condition, things like that. Other than obviously there's Torahs that have certain things that in there that we can find. However, though, Muslims claim that Islam was written down, like the Quran was written down on animal skin, which would mean that they're preserved forever. They're not, because they're not written down and they're not real. And in fact, it's an Aryan priest who decides, our bloodline of the Ishmaels is kind of running thin. We should probably just go ahead and create our own prophetic story. Because even though Ishmael is kicked out with his mother Hagar from the tent and the entire tribe, they obviously, but build and build and build, but it's like obviously they don't ever you know, get to a point in that sense religiously as his half brother would and their whole bloodline, whereas they end up being really, really fucking super rich. They end up like owning all that territory, and they were like a massive, you know, what do we call it, superpower at that time. But they weren't called Muslims; they were called Ishmaelites. So there's another huge thing right there too. Now, the reason why I do bring up that and a lot of all this stuff like this is because of the fact that legitimately, like if you watch this video as well, you'll see that there's a lot of timestamps and things like that. Where they do the timeline, and the timeline is when you start to really kind of just be like, okay, I see what's being laid down in front of me now. So I kind of just want to pop open this Tommy Robinson one that is from the interview that he did with Sahar, just so you guys can hear kind of some of the beginnings of this one. But I'm also going to link the video into the description or into the chat.
Westminster Council are now trying to make us clash with you. I believe they're trying to provoke a riot. If all these people turn up and there's no ability for us to control the crowd, they're trying to provoke a riot. They're going to try and cause a clash. If everybody has a price, were you ever offered money to shut up and not speak? Good talk. Stop their money, because the influence they have across the West, £750 million they spent. France, the damage and destruction that Qatar have funded in that country. Who incentivizes these organizations? Just follow the money on the influencers. Dan Blizzard, what's his name? Dan Bilzerian. Joe, there's a picture of him sitting there now, like all juiced up and that, with the Quran. I was like, oh, fuck off, Dad. He probably got £1 million for that shooting.
That happened?
90% of the convictions of groups of men and children are Muslim. If they win, they're taking it. Yeah. You grew up in Luton, which is an hour and 30 minutes away. An hour away?
The call.
Yeah, an hour away from here. What was it like growing up? I'm thinking of safety. So I watched as our police took them through the town hall to attack our soldiers. And the problem is they'd never been told no. Like, this is a jihadist group. If I said now, and this is the thing, if I said, right, I want to protest outside the East London Mosque with all my supporters, they'd say no. They'd always say no. You can't for safety. You can't for this. You can protest down there. Well, you wanted to protest against the war. Protest at the council. Protest against the government. Don't attack our soldiers on their homecoming parade. Mm-hmm. Least of all, when they weren't at war, they were training in the army out there. They weren't killing. Yeah, but so the frustration was that. And after that, we sat down as Luton lads, and the police turned their batons on all the English people paying us. They didn't even look at the Muslims. They stood with their backs to them, and they let them shout abuse, spit, hurl abuse, whilst looking at the English people attacking them. That's what we saw. So that two-tier policing. Then after that, I set up a group called the United People of Luton, which was to say enough's enough. We wanted to show the rest of the country that we respect our armed forces and have a protest over it. And when we attempted to do that again, we came out, and I paid a private wedding cameraman. He must have got surprised because he's used to filming weddings, and I brought him to film our event. Just said, film everything. And the reason I've done that is because growing up in Luton, I know what the police are going to do. And they turned up, take your shoes off, put in their hat, searching us. And as they're doing all
searching you, what about the anti?
No, so this is our first protest in support of our armed forces. It was Bank Holiday May. So the attack happened against the soldiers. 4 weeks later, we organised a rally in support of the armed forces. Mm-hmm. When we've turned up, that's when the cameraman's come. We're trying to get to the War Memorial to pay respects. And the police turned up, take your shoes off, searching us, what's your name? And as they're doing this, I said to the officers, you didn't do this to them, lads. I was there that day. You didn't even look at them. You certainly didn't search them. You didn't put your hands on them. You didn't abuse their rights in the way you're abusing ours. Now, all we're trying to do, they're terrorists. All we want to do is get to the War Memorial to pay respects. You actually facilitate with no opposition to attack our soldiers. So the frustration was growing in the town. And what they then did is they kettled us for 3 hours. The police did. They blocked us in the road and they wouldn't let anyone leave. My auntie was urinating in the street. So women, and as this was happening, we said, you wouldn't do this to Muslim women. You wouldn't lock Muslim women in a road and not let them go to the toilet, which is what you're now doing to us. So at that start of it, whilst we were angry about everything, it became more about our rights. It became more about us being oppressed by the police and them not being dealt with at all. Totally different treatment, which when I spoke about this in 2009, this is now, since the Hamas rallies, especially since October 7th, it's something the whole world now knows. Two-tier policing, it's part of British vocabulary now, yeah? But that's something I've seen my whole life. So it's not like I've had some crystal ball, because where I'm at now is people hated me. From 2009, we can talk what's just happened to Charlie Kirk. The media, the government, and organisations on behalf of the government lie, smear, attack, far-right, racist, Nazi. They paint a picture of you for trying to speak out, and they justify violence against you. Where when people commit violence against you, they actually think they're doing right, yeah, because they've been radicalised by the government.
Yeah.
By the government, yeah, by government groups and by far left groups who are in bed with governments, they put the target on you, which is what's just happened to Charlie Kirk. But so that's what I faced. I faced smears, accusations that I was lying. But fast forward to where we're at now, it's been what 2000?
Yeah, 3 million people show up to the event.
People realised I wasn't lying. They realised that I wasn't that hate figure that they were told I was. I'm not a Nazi. I'm not racist. I'm just a lad from Luton Town who's seen all these wrongs. It's not like I had some crystal ball, because everything I said has come into fruition. All the warnings I gave, people now realise, shit, he knew. Yeah. Why did I know? Because I've already seen it happen. I've experienced it all. I've seen it. I've lived it. It's not like, and then so many people. So I had a debate with a bloke on a show. This is going back in years ago, and he was an expert on multiculturalism. That was his role. And I said to him, "Where did you grow up?" Exeter. Exeter is 99.99999% white Christian town. So how are you how are you the expert on this issue when I've grown up where I've grown up? And the problem is, so many of these liberals and these elitists, they don't live it. So it's like me reading a book on building a house and thinking I can build a bloody house.
The shoemaker goes barefoot, pretty much.
That's it. And then all of it. And what the other crazy thing is, all these groups who oppose us or speak about it, like the rally against us, which we've got a big rally this Saturday.
But yeah, that's 3 million people show up too.
They don't experience diversity.
I wanted to bring up the.
Well, we do. Like, I've got more diverse friends.
Have you heard about the term hijra? Do you know what the hijra is?
Go
on. When Muhammad migrated from Mecca.
Yep, to bring Islam around the world, which is what many. So you have this discussion, but it's what many people don't understand. Yeah, it's part of Islamic belief. It's part of jihad, is to bring Islam
to non-Muslim places.
House of war, house of God.
Dar el-Harb and Dar el-Islam.
We are the house of war. Until we become the house of God. And we become the house of God when we are dominated by Islam and Sharia. And when you are the house of war, the verses in here that say you can rape non-Muslim women become halal. Yeah?
See, that's right there.
Just to remind people, the viewers, right there. The last Islamic caliphate was abolished in 1924 by Ataturk in Turkey because he wanted to promote secularism in Turkey. And right now that means that the Muslim population is homeless.
Exactly.
They have no home. They have no place to live. So right now they're in a state of war, in a state for
constantly perpetually
until the world becomes Muslim again or Muslim dominated, because they can't stand that the Jews control the Muslims in Israel. They can't stand that the Christians control the Muslims in Al-Andalus in Spain. They can't stand it.
Because once it's become theirs once.
That's it.
So Spain's Islamic. Doesn't matter that Spain took it back.
That's it.
It's Islamic, which means forever that's their land. So you know when you hear them talk about Israel as being their land, you know, Spain's their land as well. Yeah, so it's the world, the world dominates. So it doesn't stop. But most people don't understand these terms or the history of Islam, because unfortunately, you've not even been able to have this discussion in the West. Because when you do, you shut down, you silence. And then the Muslim Brotherhood and Iranian proxy armies, we've got Iranian proxy armies across the West. You saw that after October 7th. You saw the power and the size of the influence they have. I always say when they say, well, Jews run the world, Jews run the media. Oh, fucking not doing a very good job, are they? Because
I'm glad somebody finally said that, dude.
World's turning
like
Israel and Jews.
How is it that it's almost like kind of how fucking people are with Trump? They're like, oh, he's an idiot. He can't do this, he can't do that. And the next thing you know, he's an evil fucking genius. You're like, How can you have it be both? You can't fucking have it both ways, dipshits. It has to be one or the fucking of the other. And in this way, it's the same fucking thing with with Islam. So it's just like I I don't understand how people are, because again, it's the way he says it is
If
perfect.
they control the media hates them. In fact,
It's like you have all this shit that's going on with like Islam, but then you have people be like, oh, it's like how did somebody word it the other day? It was a false flag, right? That they were like, it was the Jews, they did this, they set up as a false flag, it was Messiah. You're like, how are you jumping to these fucking conclusions that are so anti-Semitic? But it's always, the Jews control this, the Jews do that. Well, they're doing obviously a shit fucking job of it. Because if they were doing this, don't you think they would benefit their people more, or all this other shit like that? And you have like Candace fucking Owens being the dumb cunt that she is, being like, oh yeah, well, Charlie was killed obviously by the Jews, and they were trying to silence him because he was finally going to talk out again. Bitch, this was supposed to be your best friend, and you're going to try to use this shit like that? Like, again, she is absolutely disgusting. And the fact that you have people that are going to believe her, she thinks that space is fucking lame and fake and gay, just like she thinks that dinosaurs are lame, fake, and gay. And my first thing is, what boyfriend did you have that dumped you that were like into space and into dinosaurs that you're like, fuck it, that's lame and gay, fuck you guys. Because like that's literally how you act, Clandis. And yes, I call her Clandis like fucking Nux does, because she is legitimately the fucking like I would honestly argue that she is probably the best definition you have for the Black Klansman. Like, legitimately, she is fucking full on the person who would straight up think that she belongs in the KKK. And she's all like, no, 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 I'm fighting for all this. My life is constantly a threat and all this other, like, Clandis, no, it's not. It really isn't. Stop being a racist bitch. Stop being so fucking stupid. And I'll pull your fucking head out of your goddamn nasty snatch and fucking get back to reality with the rest of us. Because it's fucking ridiculous. The obvious fucking ploy on that is when you start butting up with fucking Ian Carroll, who again literally blames everything on the Jews. And again, it's like, bro, they can't be, these people that you claim as like fucking, retards or stupid and all this other stuff like that, but then equally be these mad evil geniuses all at the same time. Again, it just doesn't fucking work. And then to be like, oh well, all these Islam attacks, or the attack on Charlie, and the attack on the ice rate, the ice facility, and all this other stuff. If this is all Israel, you're like, you are fucking stupid if you think that. Like, legitimately, you are a fucking retard.
the whole world's turning on Israel and Jews. So they're not doing a great job.
That's exactly my argument. Every time I get accused, and then I say, don't you think it's a bit of a projection coming from a Muslim as a part of the Islamic community trying to dominate the world? Surah 933, prevail the religion over all other religions. It's in your Quran to prevail and dominate. So you tell me that I'm trying to dominate when we're 0.2% of the population living in a country the size of New Jersey, tiny. You've been to Israel.
I've been to Israel.
It's tiny.
My thing is, which if you're just a neutral on this and you don't know much about it, there's 55 Islamic countries. Why can't the Jews have one?
Yeah, right. One fucking country.
It was historically theirs anyway.
Yes, exactly.
It's like, and then you got the hip hop. It's just mate. But Islam, it's like, are we gonna allow, through political correctness, through fear, through whatever you want to call it, are we going to allow Islam to dominate Europe? Because some people will, and they're of the mindset, well. And I was on with Russell Brand the other day. I said, Russell, should this country ever become a majority Islamic nation? He said, no. Well, we've got to stop it then, haven't we, mate? We've got to stop it. For the future security, stability, and safety.
Gotta do it here in America, too.
Muslims, all of us. Because when you become a minority, there's no minority rights in Islam. What do you think minorities rights are like in Saudi Arabia or Pakistan, Syria, or any of these countries?
Can anybody watching name one country in the Middle East giving better rights to Christians or Jews? There's barely any Jews left in the Middle East. More than Israel. Nobody can. Christians are treated nicely in Israel.
So Muslims.
Exactly. Muslims are treated nicely in Israel, but all these surrounding countries, barely any rights. They're subjugated.
But yet they make it out like they're the oppressed. But which is one of their biggest weapons. The cry of victim, the cry of oppression. They kick the shit out of someone in a racist attack themselves, and then they cry racist, and then they become the victim. Like after every terrorist and jihad attack, they become the victim. It's like
it's not wrong. It's not
By
wrong.
2050, the Islamic community is supposed to be the majority, the biggest religion in the world.
Yeah, but that's only because of the rule of you can't leave or they'll kill you.
Correct.
If there was freedom within Islam and people could leave, it would collapse. It would collapse. The underground churches in Iran, the underground churches in Saudi Arabia, the underground churches, but it has to be a secret because you get killed. And you don't just get killed in Saudi Arabia or Qatar. They want to kill you here. Muslims and then you don't just, it's a difficult situation because the girl I've just sat down with, Lubna, who I thought was brilliant, yeah? We're sitting in 2025 as two free people, apparently, yeah? Both from the same hometown. And there were things we just couldn't talk about, which I had to stand there and be very careful because I don't want to see her get killed. And she's scared, terrified. So I said, it's pretty sad that we can't just talk because you'll get murdered, probably by your own community. And that's you remember, everything you go through, or I've gone through, I've lived a pretty chaotic life, had quite a lot of problems. But I've always had the love of my family. Now, to a Muslim who's born into a Muslim family, who sits there and thinks, well, this is all bullshit, I think Mohammed's a wrong. They literally can't say it. And they can't say, I'm not Muslim, because their own family will ostracize them.
Disown you.
They'll disown you. Your community will turn it back. So again, remember, whatever I've gone through, I've always had the love of family. Now, so when I see ex-Muslims, I think they're brave, they're courageous, and they've lost more than any of us could lose. They've lost the love of their family. So that there, and there's no government-funded safe houses, protection, charities, which there should be specifically to help. In gangs, if you're in a gang, and I'm sorry, if you can't leave, it's a gang.
Yeah.
If you can't leave because they'll kill you, it's a gang. Yeah. So, and that's why it's ruled in the prison system, and no other religion can be used like this. Yeah, but Islam is. So that's why in gangs, there's all these different charities and things set up to help people leave these groups. Yeah, to better their life. There's nothing to help Muslims leave Islam when they need it. They need help. People who want to express freedom. So we in Britain, where people should be free, Muslims should be free, but they're not, even if they're cultural Muslims. So that's partly one of the main reasons that we have this problem. Because if they could tell the truth, many of them, I know many Muslims I grew up with who don't give a shit, who don't believe any of it. But they just say simply, well, I won't be able to go to Pakistan. I'll be dead. I won't be able to. If I speak out and say that, my family will disown me. I'll lose everything.
That is exactly what your book, Muhammad's Quran, taught me. In the first 13 years, when Muhammad was all peaceful, trying to get people to convert to Islam, he barely converted anybody. And then when he made Islam scary, and he was going after,
he became a warrior, and he found a way. He found a winning formula: rape, jihad, robbery, torture, murder. And he gave it, and then he built an army and massacred and took over the world.
And he conquered 1/3 of the known world that we know today in 150 years. And then Muslims will say, oh no, they were just fighting wars that they started. Are you kidding me? How did you get to Spain? How did you get to Spain from Arabia? How did you get to West India? To get West India? India.
I asked someone to give me just one example of where Islamic communities have gone into a nation and peacefully coexisted in history without trying to overthrow it. Just give me one. Yeah. Do you know the significance of the date as well? There's a few significant points. The Battle of the Gates of Vienna in 1683 was on September the 11th. Yeah. So there would be no Christianity if it wasn't for that resistance battle. On September the 11th, the battle was on the 11th and the 12th. And on September 13th, which is our rallying cry this Saturday, is when Christianity went on the fight back. It's when it started its advance. Now, also, at the same time as a cultural revolution, there's a Christian revival happening in Britain. I'm telling you, you'll see it this Saturday. Something huge is happening where we've lost identity, lost culture. Now, regardless of what your beliefs are, if you actually want to believe in Jesus Christ or not, then you just have to look at what made this country the best country on the planet. It was the Bible. It was Christianity. It was the teachings of Christianity. And we've lost that. And what we see as Christianity in the West, the rainbow flags flying from bloody churches, yeah. The weakness, I'd say that the church has been infiltrated by Marxists as well to push more political ideologies than religious. I look at some of them. I look at my local local priest in Luton who was against us for years. And then something happened because the church used to come out against us for every demonstration. Now the priests are contacting us.
Yep.
They want to talk to the flock. And all those years in the English Defence League, I used to think, well, we're your lost sheep. We are your lost sheep. Your churches are empty because we're here and you're not reaching us.
Yeah.
You're not even trying to reach us. But now there's a form of masculine Christianity that's growing. Yeah,
and that exactly promotes the idea that the media is the weapon. You know, the
guitar money here.
Absolutely approaches me, English Defence League Times, yeah, and he says, and he asks for a meeting. So I go for a meeting with him. He says, Tommy, you can have a friend in Parliament, and money will never be a worry. What I want you to do, I want you to set up an English Defence League demonstration, and I want you to bring it to Dudley. I will then step in and call a meeting with you, setting all this shit up, yeah. You, out of respect, because he knows our history of the armed forces, out of respect for the armed forces and my history within the armed forces, you agreed to remove your demonstration. We then spend time bringing people together.
He wants to look like the good guy, not Tommy, but the guy who's asking this wants to look like the good guy so that he can come in, swoop in, save the day, and then afterwards bring like himself into power, win an election, all this stuff like that. His goal was to get to prime minister, and then on top of that, they actually end up finding out through finding through his fucking like a bunch of his documents and stuff like that. Oh, damn, sorry, I didn't even notice that message there, Jake. I gotta get the fucking kick thing fixed so I can see both my chats at the same time, by the way, guys. I apologize for that. But they were like, more or less like, if you just pretty much help us out stage a whole, like, race tension, battle thing, we'll give you all this money, we'll give you fucking a friend in Parliament, we'll help you out with all this bullshit and everything like that. And when they found out all this stuff later on, and he brings this all up, they went and looked at this dude's like secret diaries that he would fucking leave behind later on, and they were straight up like this plans to literally take over England and force it all over the entire country to have fucking Sharia law and enforce Islam over there. And it's like, what the fuck, man? And like, these are the people that you're letting get in power. And this is why, like, I'm saying, like, with the guy that's trying to run over in New York is so dangerous because the way he is getting in, and of course he's using the left to get himself in, and then once he's in there, boom, he's gonna just turn that shit around on all of them. And then what are you gonna do at that point? He's already in there. You have to then go through other means to get rid of his ass, which is why I'm really looking forward to the whole natural born citizen thing, a bunch of other stuff that Trump is trying to push with all that, with the whole like, oh well, you want to be, fucking in our Congress, all stuff like that. Well, you, like fucking Elon Omar, you definitely need to fucking be from this country. Otherwise, you can go back to Somalia where you think it's so fucking great because, supposedly America's a shithole. Well, then go to the supposedly great ass Somalia where you had to run with your dictator family because you were literally fucking killing the people there. So, again, just these high moral value pieces of shit douchebags. They think that they are so great because of fucking whatever reason. Most of them think that they're just great because, I'm a Muslim, blah, 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 blah. That's why when Jay said, like, oh, they're beautiful people, I'm like, I don't really think so, dude. Like, look, if you're Muslim and you really, started to open up your eyes from any of that type of stuff, please go fucking, like I said, like, you don't even have to go to our Savior, Jesus, or anything like that. Just leave Islam. Go do something else. I'd have far more respect for anybody who does that. But if you don't, then at the end of the day, it's just like, dude, you're letting them win. You're letting them fucking win. And we got to just snuff out Islam here in America, England, anywhere it's at. It's got to be snuffed out. It's got to be done in the best and most humane way possible, but it's got to be just taken care of because otherwise we will lose so many countries to such a shitty and inferior culture. And we don't deserve any of that. They want to fucking turn our countries into their shitholes that they come running from. Then why the fuck are we letting them into our countries then? Stop doing that. Again, Poland has a very harsh way of looking at it, but yet they're the ones aren't being called Nazis or anything like that, especially with their whole past and history and stuff like that. But you want to call Americans and especially like Trump and all that Nazis when we're really just deporting fucking people. They shoot you like you're a fucking dog, as the prime minister of Poland has said. And so it's just like I do not get the bullshit rhetoric that we're hearing from the left, and to see them constantly pushing this rhetoric, acting as if that it's not only just okay, but that there's no consequences. And like, well, freedom of speech, freedom of speech. Oh, you guys are cancel culture now. And it's like wishing death on people is not protected under freedom of speech. Okay, that is why if you were to do that in front of a cop, they would probably arrest you. You fucking moron. You know, like look, at the end of the day, I don't agree with the whole term of hate speech and a lot of other stuff like that, especially because like there's so many other cases when you know all of a sudden somebody does something and you're like, well, wait a minute, isn't that hate speech? Like, oh no 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 no, because you're Christian or you're because you're white or because you're this, but that doesn't count. It's like yes, it does. And I'm so tired of this bullshit of like, oh well, you guys can't be hated. It's like the whole like, oh well, black people can't be racist. Yes, they can. It's like fucking the whole point of racism is that you are literally being prejudiced towards a race. It has nothing to do with, well, you have more power than this person. That bullshit is so dumb. You hear so many of these stupid fucking arguments that literally you can tell are just emotional arguments. They have no facts, they have no basis for an actual argument, and they're just like, and you're like, okay, so what's your actual facts, and like where's your data? Where's this? Well, I don't need data. Data's racist, and you're like, what? Any hateful speech is hate speech. Well, yeah. I mean, well, think of it this way, right? So it's kind of like the whole like the hate crime laws, right? If somebody does something against the government, isn't it not therefore their hatred for the government? You know what I mean? It's like that's why I fucking hate how it's like you know like again another good example of this, right? Your wife fucks a dude, you kill both of them. Is it not for you hating the fact that she cheated on you and was a whore? I mean, is that not technically still a hate crime in that sense? You hated something, so you know what I mean. It's like that. It's just I hate the way that it is fucking titled. It's so stupid. It should just be charged as a regular crime. Okay, I think there's a certain point that yes, you can do like how we've been charging like political violence, things like that. Those things I do believe can be differentiated, but it's like really though, like I mean to call it hate speech, it's like I mean it's hard to explain. It's like it's at the end of the day, it's like people are like, well, you know, it shouldn't be what we call it protected under the First Amendment, and it's like racism or hate speech technically is protected under the First Amendment, but there are still consequences, okay, socially. However, though, but if you just say the N word, technically you are not going to get arrested for just saying the N word. Do we see what I'm saying here, right? It's not saying that you should say the N word. It's that there is not a law that says you can't do that. Now, if you go and put behind that N word that you want, uh, somebody to die, or that you then use that to racially profile an entire race, such as black people, and then say they should all die, then that is a fucking a hateful, or not necessarily hateful, but a violent motivated. A violently motivated attack in that sense, not just a hate speech thing. That is somebody just being a racist piece of shit, So it's like there's a whole level to this that's just like, okay, if you add on this whole extra thing to it, you're just saying that you have to treat certain people or certain things special, otherwise you can be charged. Yeah, and it's exactly how like South Park said, Dark, and that's exactly what I'm trying to explain it like. And I'm doing a really bad job of it because it is such a complicated and convoluted topic that a lot of people I feel like, and in a way it is and isn't, I should say, like I guess let me bring up that actual that scene here. YouTube. South Park hate crime. Oh, if I can spell it. A savage hypocrisy. I love this. This right here.
Governor, the Free Eric Cartman Now committee is here to see you. Oh, not another committee.
No, another committee.
This is the Free Eric Cartman Now committee.
Yeah.
Well, boys, what can I do for you?
I love Tolkien.
You start. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, Mr. Governor, and thank you for taking the time to hear our presentation on hate crime laws, entitled
Hate crime laws. A savage hypocrisy. Which this whole thing is so fucking valid.
In the past few years, our great country has been developing new hate crime laws.
If somebody kills somebody, it's a crime. But if someone kills somebody of a different color, it's a hate crime.
And we think that that is a savage hypocrisy, because all crimes are hate crimes. If a man beats another man because that man was sleeping with his wife, is that not a hate crime? If a person vandalizes a government building, is it not because of his hate for the government?
The motivation for a crime shouldn't affect the sentencing.
Mayor, it is time to stop splitting people into groups. All hate crime laws do is support the ideas that blacks are different from whites, that homosexuals need to be treated differently from non-homos, that we aren't the same. But instead, we should all be treated the same. With the
it's such a great one, Darts. It's such a great one.
Or in that way, Cartman can be freed from prison, and we will have a chance to win the sledding race on Thursday.
Not that part. Okay, that part is not part of this whole thing. We're not trying to win a sledding race on Saturday. Okay. That part is great. I do love that. And so that way we may be able to get Cartman out of jail, and then we can win the sledding race on Saturday. It's so good. It's so good. I love the little comical relief there. We needed that. We needed that there at the end there. But it is true. It's all crimes are committed out of like a hate for these things, or they're, I should say all crimes, because the other like set of crimes like with like theft and things like that are usually derived out of a a desire to feel like you deserve or want or need something over the fact that you don't have money for, or you don't think that somebody else deserves to have, or whatever the case is, and then that's why somebody goes and steals something. There, I wouldn't necessarily say that there's hate that goes for that, but yeah, like if somebody goes and runs down an entire crowd of people, and so long as just one or two of them are are black, or whatever color, and the driver's white, it's instantly now considered a hate crime. It's like, no, because there's so many other people who were also killed that weren't, but somehow you're just gonna go and roll with that. And it's like, that's the whole point about like treating everybody differently and separating people, and that's the problem. It's like, again, it's creating that division within division within division, and it's like, bro, what, you already divide people with such stupid fucking things, with such things as like actual, like, oh, this is your race. No, bitch, you're part of one race called the human race. And that's why you had people get all pissy with the whole like, no, all lives don't matter, because, and I was one of those people who was really stupid at the beginning of all that stuff when Black Lives Matter first started off, because of like how everything kind of was being presented and whatnot. And again, that was still at the time when I was still willing to be independently but left leaning. And then of course, as I would start to see who was running fucking Black Lives Matter and how they're running it, and I would even get into a disagreement with a girl who I was technically dating at the time, or not really even dating, I was just talking to her, really. And I shouldn't say we were dating, but we were dating for like maybe a week or two, right? And then she decides to ask me one night. She goes, "Well, I guess I should have just asked this, earlier. How do you feel about Black Lives Matter?" And I was like, I guess she didn't like that I hesitated, she quote unquote, which wasn't a hesitation. It doesn't show on the app that we were using that I was typing, but I was explaining to her that, look, I'm in support for, this whole thing. Again, this is the whole part about what I was trying to explain to, to you guys on chat, to even like my little sister, to other people, that when they're like, I think that they think that I've always either been right leaning or been conservative, or have always been, independent but right leaning. And it's like, no, I for a long time was not a person who voted for the right, like like I did with voting for Donald Trump in 2024. But it was like, I was literally, multiple times that I end up being, trying to, be an ally to the left, not fully fucking agree with something, and then be, ostracized for that. And this was one of those cases where, like, I was like, look, I don't agree with how the BLM, heads of the group are doing certain things. I think that the way they're going about certain tactics is kind of shitty and shady. And I think that they want to do better and have a better reputation, that they should go about things, XYZ. And then I brought up, like, the quotes of, Martin Luther King. And then I was told that, oh, well, Martin Luther King's a misogynist, da 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 da. And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, okay, like, so we're just gonna go off the fact that, like, oh, he may have done something bad in his past, or done something bad in general, but those great words that he once said, that again, judge not a person by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character, should be thrown out the window because of these things. You see what I'm saying? And I'm like, so then I was instantly then told that, like, we couldn't talk to we literally couldn't even talk to each other now at this point. She would block me and everything like that. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, we just had a slight disagreement. And you had a knee jerk reaction like that to just cut me off like that. I was like, okay. That's obviously not stable minded, right? And of course, I still try to give them a benefit of the doubt, And then I would say the two things that swayed me the most from going from, wanting to ever vote for the left was the blind, obedient faith in Fauci. That was number two after that personal one I had. Because I remember going to work, and one of the first weeks of COVID, I remember me and my one buddy were making jokes about the whole masks mandate. And then all of a sudden, a week afterwards, or two, or I would say, he's ordering an N95 mask. And I'm like, okay, I thought you said you didn't believe that the whole thing was, real. And I thought you said that masks don't work and all this other stuff like that. And we were listening to this podcast together while we were at work, and they were constantly going back and forth and on with, like, what doctor says this doctor saying this, and they were just bringing people onto this podcast. Well, after a while, I started being like, okay, you know what? I don't know how I feel about this whole mask thing. I'm like, I kind of think that's, especially with the whole idea, at first when I was looking at it, I was like, it's kind of dumb that we're being told that you gotta be 6 feet away like this, but fucking didn't matter how close everybody was sideways. Somehow this virus can only go, this direction. It can somehow drift sideways. It's amazing. This is a world first. I've never seen something like this, chat. And then it was like, you constantly heard Fauci be like, "Oh, the masks don't work. The masks don't work," and then he all of a sudden says masks work again, and then he's like, comes out that he's yelling at Rand Paul, being like, "I never said," like, yes, you fucking did. You dude said that you fucking were like, "Oh yeah, dude, totally." If you just wear a mask and we just do this and this and this, then everything will go into remission. The virus will go away, and America will go back to being fine. And we did all that shit, and look what fucking happened to our country. And so I got really upset about it. So then I very quickly became one of those people who I would only put the mask on when I was at work, and I'd see a customer about to walk in that had one on, because then I knew that if I didn't have one on, they would literally either try to find a way. Like, we had one try to call cops, and we were like, "You can't do that. Like, that's not something you can call the cops on." And they're like, "Well, blah blah blah," as they run out of the door, getting all mad. So to prevent that from happening again, I would just put the mask on whenever I saw a dipshit customer coming in with one. The funny thing is, though, is now, Brooklyn, not to get sidetracked, but to see somebody now with a mask, fucking hilarious, dude. I absolutely fucking laugh every time I see you, and I just want to rip that shit off your face. Same if I see a fucking trans flag around anywhere nowadays, I'm just like, get that shit the fuck out of my face, and please take it down, because that is the most, like, absolutely asinine thing to have up at this point, in my opinion, especially with what happened with Charlie Kirk. Like, and if I see a furry, go fuck yourself. Go take your fucking cat box and go choke on the cat litter, you dumb bitch. Like, ooh, fucking hate that stupid shit. Again, how we went from a country that once had mental asylums to be like, yeah, we should just go ahead and exacerbate every mental illness, because, that seems like a good fucking idea. I don't understand it. I really don't. I really don't fucking get it, guys. Like I don't understand how we go to a point where you have kids being like, my teacher's oppressive. They won't let me bring a cat box into class. Well, no shit, because you're a human. Like, what the fuck, man? And again, this is the whole point of division. Why do we need to divide ourselves even fucking further? Okay? With all this stupid other subgenre groups, all right? Like, legitimately, or subculture groups. We already do that shit with, like, the whole chav, punk, goth, emo, all this other shit like that, right? But those are kind of fun to do and stuff like that. This other bullshit gender thing is just fucking weird and culty, like, God forbid, now, I had a friend who's gay who has kids that he's working with, that are high schoolers and stuff like that at a restaurant. He's like, hey, so like, what's like the hip life going on in school nowadays, right? And they're like, oh, well, the hip thing now is just to be, anything but straight. Like, you can literally be anything but straight. If you're straight, you're not cool. And we both looked at each other like, bro, I didn't know that I was a cool kid back in the day. Fuck, I mean, because I was picked on for being the fat gothy kid who liked metal and other shit like that, and I came from Detroit. So obviously I was picked on for a lot of crazy shit coming out to the Pacific Northwest, so funny. I never thought that would have made me cool. Fucking so stupid, dude. So fucking stupid. And it's like, and that just shows you so much more that they're not in this for the right reasons. I know Gigi's over there sleeping, being all cutes. Everybody's been talking about the cute cats. I've had to keep bouncing between my things here because I missed Jackie was talking about the kitties as well too, and I missed the message that she had sent earlier, and I felt bad about that because again my fucking kick thing has to be layered behind everything. So, but yes, I got all the kitties. We had Bubba's on the camera wherever he went back to. Oh, he's back there in the box by the window. But yeah, it's one of these things that if you don't fully agree with them, then they kick you out. And literally I would say that the third thing was, after the whole mask thing, I would say the last like straw I really had was the trans movement pushing it on children. And then to lie and be like, we're not doing that. And then, see kids who are talking like, oh, yeah, by the way, I found this book that's talking about how two dudes are blowing each other and doing anal sex. And then this dude's chopping his dick off to become you're like, what the fuck is going on here? How is that shit in school? That's practically porn, And then this leads into something, a side subject I do want to talk about here in just a moment, but that is just it's mind fucked that that's in a school, a public school, and then they're like, oh, how dare this kid talk about this? And it's like, you're making him the bad guy? How is he the bad guy for bringing the attention that you literally have basically porn in a public school, and you're just supposed to be okay with that? But there is a reason why that literally you'll see literature that's like that, that's borderline pornography, but because the way it's written for girls, it's okay. I want to get the name of this fucking book right. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me pull this up real quick. Google. Um, okay, there it is. Morning Glory Milking Farm is the name of this book. Morning Glory Milking Farm. And if you need me to help you add some context to that chat, oh please, I will gladly add some context to this. If you need any idea what this book is, that is available for girls, available from 6th grade to 9th grade. To 9th grade. Okay? Remember, let me emphasize this again one more time. 6th grade to 9th fucking grade. Okay? So this book, Morning Glory Milking Maid, is literally a book about a girl who is a liberal leftist woman who's down on her luck because she's too educated, because that's just always the case, and can't get a job because of her overeducation and all this other bullshit. And so she finds herself doing something that she just never thought she would ever do, which is milking Minotaur men. Yeah, you can use your imagination what that might mean. There's actually, it was hilarious because if you watch the video that Nux does about this, there is a dude who reads a whole excerpt from like a whole page from the book, and this supposedly feminist girl, while she's talking about having this duality fight with her feminism, because the Minotaur dude's gonna pay for this meal, and the way he's talking to her and everything like that, it's just it's turning around so much that she at that moment feels like she would just plummet her face down on his penis to give him a blowjob. This, mind you, again, is in a book for kids, for girls, 6th grade to 9th grade. What the fuck? How did we fall this far? Like, how is this little porn literature for children? Okay. Then start looking into all this stuff. You find out something called about POCD, and the way this, and I was like, wait, was that fucking like a breathing, like, is it like, COPD? I thought that's what they were going with. No, 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 no. This is a form of pedophilia, like obsessive compulsive disorder that girls have, that they have to like read pedophilia works, but they find it to be okay because children aren't being hurt and all this stuff. You are fucking mentally fucking yourself up by reading this type of schmut. But no, 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 no. Go ahead. Tell us that guys are so bad for fucking porn. At least the porn is at least in your face and just honest about what it is. That type of shit is very evil. Like, what the fuck are you reading? Damn, sounds more interesting than that book we got back in school, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Bro, for real. Minotaur, I figured it would be a unicorn. And no, it's literally called Morning Glorying Milking Maid. And I'm not even joking. So let me pull this up. I'm gonna pull this up for a link for you guys so you can see this here. If I could fucking spell it. It's by CM. What is it? CM DaCosta, whatever it is. And then Nux was trying to like be like, all right, who's the dude who wrote this? Who was the dude who wrote that? And it was literally a female. And he's like, a fucking course it was. Like, yeah, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. Copy link. Here you go, chat. So that way you may be scarred as much as I am. Let me share my trauma with you all. So there you guys go. There you go, Nickel Floor and everybody. You guys can enjoy the beauty that is Morning Glory Milking Farm. Sorry, not Milking Maid, but Milking Farm. And literally the cover of it is a woman nestled up into a giant Minotaur man's arms. And it's just like, oh god, this is so fucking cringe. Like, Barnes and Nobles has a section called "Hear Me Out," and it's all about like fucking supernatural, like romance novels, and most of them are about like a ghost fucking a woman, a vampire fucking a woman, Frankenstein fucking a woman. You see what I'm getting at here, guys? You see where I'm getting at here? But of course, it's not just the sex that they're reading about; it's the emotional attachment that they have. Oh my god, gag me with a fucking spoon. Like, geez, oh beats, man, this shit is so fucking cringe. Like, oh yeah, there. Here's the picture of the person, the CM Nescosta. Yeah. Why do you look like you're potentially Muslim? Yeah, that probably explains a lot. Just saying. Oh no, yeah, no, you're just a crazy feminist bitch. Okay, yeah, that really explains a lot. Oh, like standing behind my chakras. Of course you are. Of course you are. Fucking why do they gotta make it so fucking easy to make fun of them? Like, and they always gotta have the fucking big ass, fucking, bull ring. Like, at this point, you're not even a bull ring. It may as well just be a fucking like actual hook in their fucking nose. Uh, Piercings like all over the face, blue hair, and absolutely just looks like fucking Frankenstein's bride got fucking fucked by an actual paper shredder. You know, like, oh, I mean, you're saying good lord to me for my comment, but dude, you should see the look of these women. It's fucking horrendous. I usually say women don't need makeup, and that woman definitely needs makeup. Possibly a couple of plastic surgeries too to maybe fix that shit. I don't know. That's fucking. Wow, even my little sister goes, I doubt that'll help. All right, see, it's not just me. All right, it's not just me. It's like, where have we gone, people? Where have we gone? That this is a New York New York Times best selling book. And of course it fucking is for the New York Times. I mean, fucking the New York Times, man. She's a Pete's. Like and it's funny too because in this video clip that I got here, let me also post this in the chat. This is the video that I'm on right now, and this is the one that it was really not only just it had some good funny moments in it and stuff like that, with Nux doing his thing as usual, but there was a moment where he brings back up the line that I've actually tweeted out a few times now, um, about Nux's grandfather being a Holocaust survivor. And the thing about that was that as much as that you got people who constantly want to be like, "Oh, Trump's a Nazi," or call us a Nazi or fascist just because we vote for him, or like Charlie and all that stuff like that, right? For doing what he did to help get him into office, that you know not only is that inflammatory, it's causing people to lose their lives and stuff like that. But Nux's grandfather was like, it really pisses him off, especially if they call like the ICE Gestapo and all this other stuff like that, when he literally lost his entire fucking family when he was a little boy to the Nazis. So it's like I don't even understand how people can fucking act like they have some, I don't know if moral high ground, or I don't know what the fucking right word to use on it is. It's just pure fucking demonic is what it is to be like, oh, you guys are the Nazis, da 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 da. After you see it, that it gets somebody killed, and you're like, oh, let's just keep doing it because obviously we can just get a bunch of them killed. We get it. You don't want us alive. We get it. You don't care about us. So then when you get mad that we want you deported out of the country, do you not understand why? We don't feel safe with you fuckers in this country anymore. We're like, these are the same fucking people that are supposed to be our neighbors, our doctors, our teachers, and all this other shit like that. And you're the same fucking people celebrating a dude's death and then saying that, we need to have more of them get killed. Yeah, get the fuck out of this country. You don't belong here. We do, not you. Like, fuck that shit. And then there's, of course, people being like, well, that's a little harsh. That's harsh. That's fucking harsh. Me saying they should get the fuck out of the country, but them saying that it's okay that, Charlie died, and feel like fucking shitsy, fucking, you know, Destiny, for those that don't know what I was making a joke reference of. Again, another Nux line. But fucking legitimately, you have somebody like Destiny who's like, we should be afraid to go out in public places and events, more so. Well, his little pussy ass is sitting there with the security guard sitting off to his side. And I'm like, yeah, you inside a building, aren't you? Huh? Yeah. Hey, Destiny, why don't you go outside, go out in public and do one of your fucking videos? You fucking pedophile douchebag. Claimed that you have all this child pornography on your computer for evidence so that the police needed it for future evidence purposes. You had it there. Right, right. And I'm the fucking Queen of England. You fucking absolute putz. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, how absolutely stupid does that sound? You're keeping child pornography on your computer to help law enforcement out at a future later date. That sounds absolutely retarded. Like, what the fuck, man? The one comment I read before, they don't kill people because they're Nazi. They call people Nazis so they can kill. Yeah, thank you. Yes, that's a better way of what I was trying to describe it. Thank you, Dark. That is yes. That's exactly why they're doing it, and it's just like, and it's like we get it, we fucking get it, but then they're getting mad that you got people like myself and others being like, okay, fine, then that if you're saying that shit like that, or you're calling yourself Antifa and shit like that, then you're a domestic terrorist and we want you to fuck out of this country or put in prison and shit like that. They're like, oh, dare you? That's fashion. It's like that's fucking why we're doing it. Because you're trying to purposely get people killed because you think it's either fucking funny or you're just like, man, how many of these guys can we get taken out? It's like, holy shit. Like, it's again like the whole tolerant left is not tolerant. They are the most intolerant fucking pieces of shit I've ever seen. And then when you go to report any of the fucking, illegals, the comments that I've heard from some of them are basically saying, don't take my slave. Are you fucking kidding me? And you want to call the fucking right, the people who are racist and all this other shit, but you're basically saying you don't want your cheap labor taken away. Yeah, I don't get it, Chad. I don't fucking get it, dude. it's like, I guess let me rephrase what I'm saying here is I don't understand how people can actually be that fucking evil and that fucking stupid as well. It's just like, I get it. People, have that tendency to have that, the propensity to be evil, but that's like a whole different ballgame of evil that I'm just like, how can you sit there and say and do these things and then be like, oh, but I'm actually a good person, you know? I just don't like Nazis. It's like Dark said, like they're calling you that because they know it can get you killed. They're not calling that because they think you are. They just know that they can get us killed for this shit now. And the scariest part is, in my opinion, is that we are even being just criticized for trying to actually lawfully take care of shit. Legally try to handle things so that we can protect ourselves. And when Nux got the call from his own manager, and he was like, "Dude, do you have a gun?" and stuff like that. Nux was like, "Yeah, why?" Because I fear for your safety. It's like, bro, that shouldn't have to happen. Your fucking YouTube manager shouldn't have to give you a call and be like, "Hey man, you got a gun?" Because the type of content you make is gonna potentially get you killed. And thankfully, he's a VTuber. But then you think of somebody like myself and others and stuff like that, and of course, obviously, I am so low on the totem pole and things like that that I definitely have a somewhat feeling of safety in that regards. But then there's also that other mindset of it. It's like, yeah, but then if I do get taken out, I'm so low on the totem pole, nobody will ever fucking know about it or hear about it. And it's like that's another fucked up and sad thought to think about. It's like to know that you would mean nothing, in this the grand scheme of everything, and to feel like when you look up at the space and you just feel really minuscule. That this kind of makes you feel the same exact way. And just knowing that legitimately, especially with all the shit that's been coming out about Twitch, Dan Clancy, Hassan, and for months, I have been one of the smallest, probably content creators out there shouting the loudest about that shit, echoing everything about that what Hassan has been doing wrong, to ask people to boycott Twitch. Help me spread that fucking word out there. Help get more people to understand that they need to leave Twitch because Twitch, one, is going to be going away. All right, simple as that. Let's just be honest. There is no way it will survive all the fucking onslaught that's about to happen to it. There's just no fucking feasible way that it survives. But it's like the concept being like, dude, Hassan is a legit fucking terrorist. People are like, no, he's a terrorist supporter. So then I had to constantly try to curtail my words a little bit just to make people happy. And now people want to fucking finally admit it. He's a fucking terrorist. Okay, he's calling himself Antifa. Guess what? It's literally labeled as a domestic terrorist group now. We can finally be like, yes, he's now a fucking terrorist. Okay, so you have fucking scumbags like him. We got fucking scumbags like Destiny, and constantly the way that they break the TOS. Well, Destiny obviously is banned from Twitch, but he breaks. Like thankfully YouTube finally did do something, and I think that YouTube, well, not the greatest thing they could have done, I do at least see that they did something in the demonetization and even being like, hey, it can continue depending on how you want to act. That right there in itself is a really good thing to see. And then you have the fact that like you Dan Clancy and all them are going before hopefully the Congress to get their ass just reamed for the radicalization that's gone on all their websites and stuff. But I really want that when they happen to be there before Congress, I want them to tell Dan, you need to get rid of Hassan. Not only just for the sake of that company and shit like that, or have Bezos come in and be like, hey, get rid of him or you're gone, Clancy. Whatever the case is. And because Clancy loves him so much and is like, that's his favorite streamer, I can honestly see him make the fuck up and be like, no, you gotta take me with him. Like, okay, cool, bye, Clancy. We don't want you anyways, you fucking creepy old fuck. You're over there jacking off to fucking girls that are way, way, way younger than you. Is really fucking creepy and gross and disgusting, and you should not be fucking allowed to be the CEO of a platform. Just say it. Like again, the fact that Dan Salzman is literally blasting out all of his old fucking porn accounts that he has, where he's left some really weird fucking comments on some of these videos that you're like, he's the CEO of Twitch. How? Is that a qualification apparently for it? Like, what the fuck is going on here? You know, things like that. So it would be really nice to see, not only does Twitch hold its actual accountability for its own TOS and itself and everything like that, but to see actual legality or legal action be taken upon not only just Dan Clancy, but to fucking see, both I would say Twitch and I would say actually Reddit to both get so openly fucked on all that. And I know they're gonna try to blame Discord for a lot of that too, but it's like that's not Discord's fault. Like they aren't supposed to be sitting there watching everyone's conversations like that. Like it's ideally like that is supposed to be up to the person who runs the channel. So if they're running a channel that's inherently got a bunch of shit like that going on, I don't know how else other than having Discord of invade people's privacy in order to find out whether or not, unless they have a way to have it like auto trigger if people say certain words, type certain things, or whatever the case is, in order to signify that they are part of a terrorist organization. Otherwise, yeah, I just don't see how they're gonna get Discord to change anything really. It's not necessarily Discord's fault. It's the fault of the people. Kind of like guns don't kill people. It's the people that kill people. It's like okay, well again, it's not Discord that's sending out the message. Join this thing. Da da da. Become a terrorist. Da da da. It's like you have people that are actively seeking out these people and using Discord as a way to quietly to communicate with people, so that way they don't have to be noticeable as easily, and so that they don't have to worry about phones being tracked and all this other stuff like that. And they feel like they can just they delete these messages, they'll be deleted forever. And it's like that's not how it works. They're still going to be saved in some form of cloud or server somewhere for for at least a little while, I'm sure. And Discord, I'm sure could grab those and then send those to the DOJ and everything like that. But it's a lot of red tape. I feel like that's now been added to simple things that probably just didn't need any red tape. That's one way I would put it, that in that regard. So, but let's see here, guys. We've been live now for about almost 3 hours now. It's 2 hours and 51 minutes. So I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap up the stream here, guys. It has been a great stream. I love you all. I appreciate you all. I thank you all for coming and hanging out with us, guys. And before we go, I know not everybody will care about it, but I would like to leave us all on a little prayer, especially in a time of time like this. And regardless if you're religious or not, if you will, just take the time just to take a moment of peace with us, I guess, if you will. If you're not a religious or anything, but just please be respectful for the rest of us. And I would just like to say this prayer though for all of us here, and to give everybody a little peace before leaving for the night here. But so thank you, Heavenly Father, for all the blessings and the life that you have given us, the ability to enjoy the many blessings that you give us, the ability to enjoy life and all that it has to offer, all the ups and the downs. And we just ask that you help guide us all to continue walking the path that truly lets us live in the best light that we can, and to truly be like our Lord and Savior Jesus, and for us to literally hopefully have the ability to come together as an actual nation, and with your guidance to have the peace and find justice and be able to find a way to overcome all of our adversaries with righteous vindication. And we say this all in your name, in our Lord's name, Jesus Christ. Amen. So I want to leave it there, guys, and I love you all, and I'll see you all next time.